It all started with just a vote, a single choice in a sea of millions. And suddenly, people we loved vanished. Godparents to our children, lifelong friends, all gone with just a click, with a comment, with silence. That's when the seed was planted. Don't Unfriend Me wasn't just a name, it was a plea, a line in the sand, a refusal to let politics tear apart what humanity once held so sacred. We didn't set out to build a movement. We set out to tell the truth, even when it hurt. Long hours, lost sleep, more setbacks than anyone will ever see. There were days it felt like we were shouting into the void, but we kept showing up. Not for clicks, not for clout, but because this matters. We pushed through the doubt, the algorithm throttling, the shadow bans, the isolation, the nights we sat at the mic with empty inboxes and broken spirits. And still, we stayed. We persevered, because we knew there was something here worth fighting for. For years, thousands of hours, laughter, heartache, raw conversations with real people. And now, it all leads to this. One night, one room, one moment. We can agree, we can disagree. You can love me, or you can hate me. Just don't unfriend me. It all starts right now.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop unfriend me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's stuff.
I'll test this, okay? Oh, hello there. Come closer. No, closer. Thank you. It's wonderful to see you here today. Just a little light reading. I want to show you something. Right here. The Don't Unfriend Me Show. Closer. Can you see it? That's right. The Don't Unfriend Me Show. In rock and soul. Save your soul by picking it up today. Thank you. And be cool, like the Don't Unfriend Me Show.
Come on, man. Can you feel the pain? Into him now. About this new world. Ain't no drag. Papa's got a brand new eye.
What is going on, everybody? Do me a favor and please like and share. But before we get to the show, signatures 82 out of 85. Little bit of a stall here. We started off with 20 petition signatures. This is actually by usafacts.org. They are actually going to Congress, putting a petition through and asking them to stop wasting our tax money with data and reports that are untimely and never get to us. They want us to, they want to go ahead and redo infrastructure in order to disseminate information to you at a faster clip with more updated programs or updated databases instead of using technology from the 80s and the 90s. This is an amazing petition. It doesn't cost you a damn thing. Just go to thedumbshow.com/facts, click on the link and put in your email and your name. time. If you don't even want to subscribe to the list, you don't have to, but I would recommend it because usafacts.org is one of the largest sites for raw data, no spin, no crap. It just gives you everything you want. And it's free of charge, and it's very much like a PragerU. So we jumped on board with supporting them, and I'd love to get those 3 signatures tonight. So maybe if you haven't had a chance, please go do that. Now on with the show with Leroy Brown, or Jenkins, or whatever you want to call him. Leroy Brown. What's the stupid thing? Jenkins? We did the Leroy Jenkins? I don't know.
Jenkins, yeah, man.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Adjusting transmit function.
It feels like a year since you've been on.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show.
Nice to see the numbers up a little bit. Good.
Honest,
keep it up,
direct,
people.
Unfiltered. We can agree. We can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
So Lisa Regina was going to be here tonight. Unfortunately, the storms are too bad. We just got power on. She's been having problems all day. We're going to reschedule, probably get her for next week, and hopefully we get Joe Montagna on. So we'll see. After that, July 24th, Barry this Friday, come hell or high water, he will be here. John David Gregory, author. The Faceless Man will be here, United States Navy. Chris Martini, fabled director who actually did Scott Lebeto's movie and several other things that we've watched. Tyler Fisher, world-renowned comedian. He's in Austria right now, I think. He's in Europe. This guy was on Gutfeld, NBC, all the late night shows. He's absolutely hilarious. He does a wonderful Trump impersonation, and the guy is just wicked funny. He's the one that did the transgender airport checking into Portland, Oregon, and then he got mad at me for sharing his video, and then we became friends. So he's coming on the show. Hannah Pruder is also going to be here, who does an amazing show. She did a film on October 7th, and she is an incredible. We've got so many great. We got Chad Prather coming on. He's actually booked. We've got so much great stuff. But right now, Leroy's in the house. We want to hear how he's doing, what's up with his life. And you guys, donations are up 300. I'm just going to talk about that for a quick second before we get into it. Donations are up 300. Overtime is reset. You guys don't know what that is. It's pretty simple. Overtime, essentially, it just means that if we hit goal by 9 o'clock on the nosy, Parker full of posy, we will move into an extra 30 minutes of time. This has been massively successful. Every night we've done it, minus last night because of the news of Frank. We still hit it, got in, but we've hit it like in the average of 47 minutes. So it means more show, less talk about donations, and more having fun. And yes, Leroy and I decided to go ahead and work together on our ensemble today. Dude, how are you feeling? Everybody wants to know what's going on with you.
I am feeling 1,000% better. And just for everyone who wasn't tracking, I ended up, I had something called a renal infarct. Basically, a blood clot hit a kidney, threw me all sorts of out of whack. And simultaneously, while that was going on, I didn't even realize it at the time, I was also dealing with long COVID. That's actually what caused the clot. And the cyclo piss out your ass thing that's going on.
Right.
So I had all 3 of these things going on at once. So when I went into the doctor, like they were like, all of these symptoms, we don't know what to make. Right. So it took a little bit to get over that. Feeling 1,000% better now.
I just want to make sure I understand. You had an anal fart because somebody pissed in your ass. Is that what you said?
That's not what I said.
I thought that's what summation is difficult sometimes. I was distracted by having an anal fart. So
no, a renal infarct. It's
FARC.
FARC.
Yeah, I know.
Renal infarct, which is a blood clot that hits an organ. If it happens in your heart, it's a heart attack. If it happens in a lung, it's an embolism. So
yeah, it's terrifying. When you told me about it, I immediately knew what it was because my father struggled. So it's good to have you home. It's good to have you here. You also had a chance to meet some pretty cool people, even though everyone had a chance to kind of see those photos. Tell us, how did it go in Ohio, and what did you do there?
It was amazing. So I couldn't stay for the whole thing. The entire event, which was this men's conference titled 1613, was scheduled to go the entire weekend. I could only show up there Friday because I actually had to go to work on Saturday, Sunday for the Navy. Now, the funny story behind that is that I had just gotten out of the hospital. As a matter of fact, I still have a black and blue mark on my arm from where they had to pull the needle out. And so when I showed up at this conference, I was like fresh out, like I had literally ripped the tape off my arm. But it was an amazing event. There was this a pastor at the very beginning of it they gave just this amazing speech. And then they had a couple of Delta Force guys. They were interviewing each other. John Lovell was there conducting one of the interviews. Yep. And then after that, Nick Freitas interviewed our friend of the show, Chris Tonto. And that was kind of my main point in going down there. It was an amazing event with just an all-star lineup. And I absolutely went out of my way to make sure that I shook hands with as many people as I could.
So you got to meet Tonto.
Tonto was an absolute sweetheart.
He's a nice guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. Just an absolute gentleman. And you could tell when he was up on the stage, he didn't even know that I was in the audience, but he was so humble and so just honest with everything. And Nick Freitas, I always pictured Nick Freitas as, you see these guys on TV or
he's not towering at all.
He is. He was way bigger than I expected.
No, he's barrel chested. He's barrel is what I'm saying. Yeah, he's barrel chested.
He's a big boy.
Dude. No, he's like built he's like you and I are both big dudes, but I'm barrel chested. Like I'm thick on the side and head. Nick Freitas and I have the same size head. I mean, we're both just thick, big dudes. Yeah. So it's not like he's like 7 foot. He's just.
I want to say he's about 6'1".
Oh, he's 6'6" for sure. But you don't want that man to get a hold of you.
No.
You're not going to. Yeah.
Like in the photo, I actually put my hand on him, which was probably a no. But like the moment
he didn't give a shit. He didn't care.
He didn't give a shit. But the moment I did that, I was like, holy fuck, he's solid.
He's rock. Like and see, and it's deceptive because you look at his face, and like me, he has chubby cheeks. There's nothing we can do about it. But if you look at Freitas and I, we have very similar face, bone structure, everything. But when you look at him, he's not fat. He's just built.
Yes. And the thing was that, again, I had just gotten out of the hospital. I didn't even have all of my scruples about me yet. Like normally, most people know that I'm normally mentally pretty quick. And when you meet somebody like that, and again, I was just coming off the hospital, it was a case of, oh my God, this is a guy that I've been watching for a very long time. So I a little bit struggled with my words, because I also wasn't quite there mentally yet.
Sure.
And so we started talking for a few minutes. And we talked about Intel. I didn't know that he did open source Intel for a little while.
Yep, he did.
And just a great man. Very sweet.
Ryan Weaver did too. Ryan, which a lot of people don't understand, is he started his career off open source Intel before he was Army just like that, and before he became a Black Hawk pilot. So it's interesting, when you find out how many guys start off their careers as Intel and then go into SOF. Yeah. So not from a business standpoint, but did you mention to Tonto the show, or did you drop my name in any way, shape, or form?
He absolutely remembered you. He was just like the thing was, it took a little bit of a moment of recognition because it had been so long since we had seen him, since he had seen me. Yeah. And even then it was through a tiny little monitor, right?
Sure,
so I wasn't expecting a whole lot of recognition. The moment I said my name, he's like, oh, and then it just all flooded back. And he remembered the show. We remembered you. And
he better fucking remember me. I talk to him every other week.
we mentioned Barry, and
good.
Just a wonderful man.
Yeah, I certainly reach out to him a hell of a lot more than he reaches out to me, but that doesn't matter. Okay, and then Freitas, did you get a plug in or not?
I unfortunately did not. I mean, he knows that we were on the show. I told him about it, and I said that Matt thinks that he lives within like a stone's throw of you. He used to, and I didn't know that. He up and boogied to Tennessee.
Yeah, he's in Tennessee now. Yeah, he took off. Yeah. So and we weren't a stone's throw. He was in Richmond. Ollie North is the one. Ollie North and Tim Pool. Tim Pool's a rock away. Like I can chuck a rock at his house, and then no, Ollie North I can chuck a rock. I could hit him with a mortar. Speaking of mortar, we just had a giant lightning strike. If we lose power, we lose power.
I heard that.
It's going to be loud. This is a bad storm. Anyway, well, listen, folks, thanks for being here. We appreciate. First of all, I'm so glad you got to go. It would have been nice if you would have told me you were going, and not have been selfish and went to the hospital, because I was flying up there ready to go with Ethan, and then of course you couldn't control that. So Leroy went to the hospital, and that kind of sucked it. But we planned on going to this conference because it looked really, really cool. And Ethan's been struggling. What does it take to be a man? So, but what I've learned is God works in mysterious ways. There's a reason we weren't there, and whenever that happens, you go with the punches. 1613. A lot of people are like, what year? What? It's actually 1 Corinthians, I believe, 1613. So. Correct. And I'm sure it has something to do with the strength of men or something to that effect, since that's the entire premise of Corinthians. But I'm assuming that's what it's named after.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll have to go next year, and hopefully you'll be out, and we'll have more freedom to go and do some cool stuff like this together.
On that note, if you've got 10 more seconds on that note, I ended up putting in my paperwork, and it looks like I will be officially scooted from the Navy by November, which means that I have exactly 2 drills left. And 2 months.
That's amazing. 2 drills. Donation window's not up. Hold on, let me fix it. Ooh. Why isn't it up? It should absolutely be up. Maybe it shrunk us. Huh. Hold on. This happens sometimes. I'm going to recopy it.
While you're
you do that,
discussing that. So I went to this conference, and again, it was called the 1613 conference. We talk a lot these days about toxic masculinity.
Ellis?
Or
was it? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Was it Scott Ellis or Anonymous? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Leroy. I got to do this. This is important. It happened, and we got to give the recognition when recognition's due. I want to hear all about this because I care about this, but we just made goal and 1 shot. Awesome. Anonymous, thank you. The message was, and I'm sorry our pop-up window was closed, says, in honor of Frank, God bless his soul. So happy you are recovering. Leroy, if you take a look right down in the lower portion of your screen, which would be your right-hand portion of the screen. Oh, what happened to the movie? It didn't play the cool movie. Whatever, fine. They're exploding. It worked last night. I think I deleted the file. It doesn't matter. Overtime has been crushed. It doesn't mean you can't give to the show. Still do it. We appreciate it. We need it. Remember, $300 is an expectation to keep going. Anything above is gravy. Leroy, I rudely interrupted you, but that deserved to be. That had to be talked about.
Absolutely.
So give it to me, man. What else?
The big thing that I was trying to convey was that, so I get down to this conference, and we talk a lot on this show about, or socially at this point, about the idea of toxic masculinity. What does it mean to be a man? And are we conveying those expectations to not only our friends, but our family, our children? So I get down to this conference, and I wasn't sure necessarily what to expect. And I checked in with my folder. They had my name. Great. I walk into a room that I have never seen anything quite this big before, except maybe at the Cleveland IX Center, which can hold an aircraft carrier or 2. And there were no less. I think they said the count exceeded 7,000. And to see 7,000 individual chairs, and that's what I walked into, and they had everything segregated off. And so when I turned around and saw just this sea of people who were intently listening to the pastor, to the interviewers, it was not only heartwarming, but it brought this sense of hope. It brought this sense of there are people who are genuinely interested in the idea of what it means to be a man, however you define that. And that's all I was trying to convey. The attendance was off the chain. It was amazing.
That's amazing. I like first off, it's congratulations on an amazing career. And I couldn't be more proud of you. And I've known you now for well over 5 years. And even though I wasn't here for a lot of your service, I still feel that connection to the branch and to the job, and the rate. But it's an honor, man. It's really cool, and I'm proud of you. And bigger and better things, right? There's so many things coming in your future that I think you're going to be able to do, and I expect you to surpass, because you're going to be able to go on stations and news stations. You're going to be able to have a list and a resume that's going to aid you in your ability to provide information in a effective way, but also in a confidential way, but still go ahead and have insight that others don't. So I hope you continue with the show, and I think that's the plan, is continue to do this and keep driving and get your own show and everything else. So that's awesome. And the second thing, is I remember what that feeling is like, and it was the first time I had to do a speech, and we did it in front of 47,000 people, and Apple took its retail stores, its assistant managers, store leaders, regionals, call centers, and all their techs. I mean, this was literally almost half of the employee at the time at Apple, and had a mini TED Talk that I had to do in front of people. It was the most insane thing I'd ever done in my life, and the nerves were incredible. But so it doesn't matter whether you're a part of that, or you're involved in that. It moves the soul. It's a palpable experience for sure. And it's nice to see so many people, especially young men, taking it seriously, what it is to be men again. Yes. Joanne says, how did Matt and Leroy meet? What that's a good time. Let's do it. I mean, we've hit goal. We've got a good show. Well, tell them.
It was, sure. We met on Grindr, right? And no, I'm kidding.
I swiped left, and then he grabbed my penis, and there was a match made in heaven.
So like Matt said, it was about 5 years ago, back when the Don't Unfriend Me show was still in its infancy, right? I think it was about a year old. Yeah. And for whatever reason, one day I was swiping through Facebook looking for podcasts, and here's this guy who was wearing a Navy shirt. So piqued my interest. I actually emailed him. I don't even think he remembers this, but I emailed him, and I was like, where did you get that shirt? And he told me, it was part of what's the name of that company?
Grunt
Doesn't
Style.
matter.
It was the salty. It was the salty shirt from Grunt Style. But I told him, I said, "Hey, we have it on the site too," and that was it.
And so we got to talking after that, and we had both found out at one point that we were both Navy ISs, intelligence specialists. I was still in. Matt was out at that point, but from there the conversation just opened up, and so that was kind of the catalyst for everything. Just a lot of common ground, both in the prior work that we had done, but also in the places that we had been, and it just fertilized all of this new friendship, right?
Well, the places that you have been in, the places that I make up, according to some people. So, because I'm one and done. It's interesting. You get a stigmatism about that stuff, and I'm a pretty open book, and I'll open up my resume to just about anybody. If anybody wants to see my DD-214, I don't give a shit. My response to people is I did more than some and less than most. So it's pretty much it. I'm not a GI Joe. I'm not a hero. I've worked with some really cool people, and I've got to get sweat equity with some really cool agencies, and I learned a lot of cool shit, and I probably would have stayed in for the rest of my life. But unfortunately, God had different plans, and I never would have met my wife. I would probably be here with Leroy, even though I think we probably would have crossed paths and hated each other if we ever worked in the JIC together. But certainly you can't have two of the same personalities in the JIC. It just doesn't work. It's rough. It's rough. You can't have two guys that steal the air out of the room. And Leroy steals the air out of the room. And so do I.
I can. And it's hard for me to edit that sometimes.
Yeah.
Can I add one more quick story?
Yeah, dude, this is great. Yeah.
So I was talking about the conference.
You realize you're a co-owner of the show. You never have to ask. You just do it.
And so when I was listening to Tonto and be interviewed by Nick Freitas, and they were talking about being Delta operators, and they're talking basically in layman's terms, okay, we're going to call this the tip of the spear, okay? In military language, and Nick, if you're watching this is complete compliment to you and to Chris. There is something called the tip of the spear, and these are the operators. These are the door kickers, the guys that go out and make the actual difference. And for every one of those types of operators, there is a staff of about 20 people that sit below them on the pyramid that are all support people. Okay. And these are the intelligence analysts. These are a lot of the logistical people. These are, a lot of the officers who are basically trying to, make a good call. Basically what I'm saying is that staff, right? Although we're all kind of lumped together in terms of like when I mobilized with JSOC. I mobilized with DevGru. And so I see these guys, right? But I am not them. I am near the tip of the spear, but I am their support staff. And so for people like Nick Freitas, people like Tonto, when we see those guys, there is still an element, even though we were support staff, of looking up to them going, God damn, I cannot let that guy down.
Right.
We have to take this thing seriously. And so even for a seasoned veteran, which is what most people would consider myself and Matt, right? Even for a seasoned veteran, we look at the top of that pyramid, the tip of the spear, and go, you guys are heroes. And that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, there's a very different, the way that some people look at team guys or Delta or SAS or JSOC or MARSOC guys. It's most people outside of the military see them as something to behold as superheroes and superhuman. I think the thing that when I look at soft guys is their ability to, when they are off, they are off. And when they punch the clock, they are consummate professionals. And it's a discipline that does not translate to most people. And there's two facets of it. One is a physicality when they punch the clock, and the other one is a level of discipline and intelligence, and what we call your EQ, IQ. So their emotional quotient versus their intelligence quotient. Now, intel guys, to the most part, there's some shitbags, but most of them are not, have that intel rigor. And they're super smart. They're super disciplined. They're organized. They're detailed. Maybe a little obsessive compulsive. Most ISs have very similar ideals, but and most intel guys, especially when they work attached to any of the team guys or any of the soft units, have a level of physicality that they elevate themselves because you don't want to be the fat intel guy working with those guys, but the physical plateau that these guys possess, honestly, just the most respectful I can say is probably a way that some of these guys look at intel and shit hot intel guys is, man, that guy's got his stuff together. And there's a mutual level of respect. But please understand this, the delta between the physicality of team guys and soft guys versus the mental acuity of intel guys is nothing to behold, because some of the smartest operators I've ever met in my life are the smartest operators I've ever met in my life. They're incredibly intelligent. They're problem solvers. They're active. They're logical. They can deduce. And they are street smart to the ways of the world, where most intel people, it takes some time to actually get out there to get that street smart. So it's just a mutual respect. But I can also tell you this, that there's a lot of soft guys that can't stand intel. And they don't like intel guys because they've been burned too many times.
That's why a lot of the teams, they tend to employ their own intel guys if they can, because if it's somebody that they know, it's a lot easier for them to trust, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's just
embedded ISs. That's all.
Well, they used to, and I don't know where that program is now, but it used to be something that they tried. But you have to understand is that these guys pick their own weapons, they pick their own gear, they pick their own shoots, their own goggles, their own nods. Everything that they do is essentially their choice, and where they get their intel from predominantly is going to be from people who they do trust or have worked with in the past. I mean, the most elite units. Some units don't get a choice. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, when you see guys like Tonto, you see guys like Nick. It's the warrior poet mentality.
Yes. And
that's Nick Freitas completely. And I would look at Tonto as not a warrior poet. I believe that Tonto is a pure warrior, cold warrior, who has an amazing capability for compassion and love. And I don't think he was always that way, and I think that's something he had to learn. But he's just one of the kindest and nicest human beings, and he has amazing compassion. Yeah. And Nick is just freaking, as much as he is strong, he's wicked smart, super smart.
When they were up, I described him as such when I got my picture taken with him. Because I said that Tonto was, just this amazing, humble man, and he is. Yeah. But then for Nick's description, I said, Nick is a genius that is dressed up like a giant cuddly teddy bear, because he's a giant hairy man, know, but he is wicked smart. And the thing was, when there's something about operators. Most people, when they get into dangerous situations, right, especially overseas with guns, most people, the natural human instinct is to get away from danger. When I was listening to Tonto talk about how much he loved being a contractor, how much he loved being overseas and doing this kind of thing, one of the stories that he told Nick was, that he was hunkered down at one point behind a wall, and like all of these rounds hit the wall behind him, and he described it as a 2x4 hitting the wall and making that loud snap.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, and he didn't mention this, but I was thinking about that description and how many people, normal people, the natural instinct would be to, hunker down, hide. And to him, those rounds hit the back of the wall, and he got down for safety. But his reaction up on that stage, his eyes lit up for about a half a second. He goes, "That was fucking awesome." And he said that. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Some of the operators, they're just built different.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, it's a good conversation. You know what? I think that was your time. That was great, because I've had the ability to spend some time with Tonto and chat with him, just the way he treated my son. Some people are asking, did we get the Tonto vodka? Actually, the marketing director for Tonto's vodka is coming on here in the next couple of weeks. So we're waiting for our shipment of Tonto vodka. Of course, we have Jeremy Mitchell on, and we'll get Tonto back from a time. But it's great. It's great. It's great. Like the community, it's just a matter of time before Freitas comes on the show, and we got him. He's going through, he's hyper blowing up right now. He's everywhere, and he should. He's earned it. And somebody said that he's funny. Yeah, he's wicked funny. He's a lot like Chad Prather. Chad Prather's also extremely smart, more from a theologian perspective. He's very worldly when it comes to theology, and Freitas is just a consumer of history. and he's and philosophy, and that's a dangerous combination. So he's a philosopher who understands the annals of history. That's a good, like, if you're going to do anything when it comes to literature, that's pretty powerful. That puts you in just about every conversation, from the atomic bomb to Mesopotamia. There's not much you can't talk about. And I like to think that Leroy and I admire kindred spirits. And I think if you put you, me, Nick Freitas, and Jordan Peterson in a room with Michael Knowles, holy shit, that would be a fun conversation, wouldn't it? Would you just listen? I think I would just listen.
So absolutely. I mean, there's the wisdom part of my brain says, just shut up, soak it all in. Right. But the fact of the matter is, I have to realize that, yes, be quiet. Certainly let people finish their point. And I apologize, because I've done this to you when you're trying to make a point. And sometimes I just spit out what I want to say.
I go on forever. So that's not,
but the thing is, I have something to contribute, and sure. and certainly my worldly experiences, the things that have learned over the years, are contributable to
sure.
most conversations. And so I now I'm starting to figure out, okay, where can I plug in appropriately and not make myself look like an idiot? Because that's all.
You want to know something before the last thing we move on? I got a hole in my shirt.
Oh yeah.
This shirt is 6 years old today. Like, almost to the day. And I finally have a hole in it. Folks, our shirts are so good. Like, they last forever, and they take abuse. Not trying to make a sales pitch, but go over and buy something at thedumbshow.com. Here's the last thing I'll say about this, and then we'll kind of move on to the show. And this is eaten in overtime, which is exactly what we should be doing right now. There's something that Leroy told me, and he actually told me this about 4 years ago. We had this show, and this was like within the first year of our relationship. And see, the cool thing about Leroy is that we were friends, but he always treated me with deference. And that's an interesting thing. And actually we were somewhat combative with each other, more me than him, is that I would get frustrated, whatever, and feel like I had to puff up like a bantam rooster and outperform him, and that's just ego, and that's just small dick disease. And that's something that I suffer from. And over the course of his relationship with me, hold on a second. I didn't get to hear it. What did you say?
I don't see that.
No, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's literally Napoleon syndrome. People make the efficacy and your self-worth when sometimes you get challenged and you feel you're being outperformed. There's a level of jealousy there. It's completely normal. It's completely normal. And so I'm like, this is my show. Don't you outperform me on my show. And it was just immaturity having a show, not understanding it, right? But I came from a world where you were shit hot, right? You came from a world where you were right. You came from a world where you were successful. You had the answers, because that's what the retail world was. That's what Intel was. So it took me some time to learn how to yin and yang with Leroy. And a lot of it was from the viewers, like, oh, Matt, you're wrong here, or, oh, Leroy, you're wrong here. And I learned balance in the force. But the reason why I wanted to say that is because I remember we got off the phone with somebody sometime, and you were just like, man, when you let people control your emotions, they own you. And you got to, learn to compartmentalize and how to process. And I was like, I completely disagree, blah, blah, blah. And, this is who I am. And this is, and of course, you put your knuckles across your mouth and allowed me to go ahead and say my piece. And then you moved on. And I'll tell you, the greatest thing that you have given me, besides a really cool friendship and somebody who I absolutely love, and I feel honored that you call me when your trials and tribulations are taking place, but also when smoother seas prevail. That means the world to me. Is that you helped me understand that once you take away their power to control you through insults and derision, that you can turn that into greatness. Because if they can't hurt you, if they can't touch you, and everything they say ultimately fuels you and gives you drive and gives you gravitas,
yeah,
you thrive on it. And now I'm bulletproof. You can't say anything to me that is going to get me to lose sight of where I'm putting my crosshairs and my determination and my effort. And without you, that never would have been possible. Like I give my wife credit for so many things, but you have helped me learn how to utilize negativity and insults instead of letting it hurt me, to actually excite me and fuel me to knowing that I'm winning and I'm going to turn this person into rubble because they can't touch me. That's the gift you've given me, and I love you for it.
Oh, brother, thank you so much. I'm gonna cry.
You should.
The idea behind that, I'm crying on the inside right now. The idea behind that is that, if somebody has to resort is the word I was looking for, resort to insults, if they have to resort to personal attacks, and stray away from the topics, stray away from the discussion points, that means that they're out of points. They just want to insult you now. They just want to hurt you in the idea to get that emotional, attack. They're out of ammo. You have won.
There's a time to do it, though. Like there's a time to do it. Like when you literally realize that the coffers are empty and there's no more tank, and like they're gassed. They're gassed. They've got no more gas left. And you've won the conversation and they're still resulting to it, then it's time to just tear them down to their lowest common denominator. But you're right. In the heat of the argument. Yeah. So that's it. Is this where we dock, or can we touch? Ding. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So folks, thanks for listening to us. A lot of people get it. And here's the cool thing about the 1613 conference is that it doesn't need to live inside of a conference. Men can be men. And we talk about this on this show. And, people try to belittle you and, oh, you're not a real man. Listen, there is no such thing as a real man or a fake man. That has to do with your personality. You're a man, whether you like it or not. When you turn 18, you become a man. The question is do others see you as a man? Is something you don't get to control. So your actions need to be manly. You need to have a worldly presence. You need to have experiential learning. You need to result to building relationships with other men and having communal relationships with other men, tribal relationships with other men. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about having men in your life that are role models to kind of grandfather you into the ways of being a responsible adult. And it's not just with your father. It's not just the patriarch. The patriarch extends to your grandfather, your uncle, your first boss, your drill instructor, your, whatever it is. So I think we're seeing more of that. Kids need it today. They are so detached from what it takes to be a real man. You know what I mean?
I think the wisdom can be earned through hard life experiences if you go through enough years. But there's a fast track, right? And that is to do exactly that, Matt. That is to befriend a group of other males, to befriend these people, and then to soak in what they tell you. Because a real man will tell you, I have made this mistake in the past, and I made this mistake. This is how I fixed it. This is how I moved on. And if you can learn from that without actually having to make the mistake,
sure,
then you are conveying something that is priceless.
Yeah. I remember Leroy in chat before he ever went on the show. Then he wouldn't show his face for a while. That's right. I blurred out his face on the show. But yeah, trust me, we spent many a nights figuring out how to. But what's funny is we didn't know a lot about each other until we commonalities in our language started to cross paths. Like acronyms and places of visit and other areas, and we kind of were like, wait a second, something sounds familiar here, and you can usually there's gaydar, and then there's I guess there's OpDar or Intel DAR or whatever you want to call it, that basketball players speak a certain language, hockey players speak a certain language, musicians speak a certain language. Well, Intel guys speak a certain language too. All right, let's rock and roll. We got a lot of stuff to do. Matt, I think there should be a dummies wanker button to wanker you sometimes. You can wank me anytime you want, Sherry.
Yeah.
So
I've got hand lotion right in the other room. It's a big bottle of Jerkins.
That's right. Karen says, Matt has grown so much since I started watching the Dumb Show. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of growing. All right, let's rock and roll. We got a busy night. So Robbie Starbuck, this show is we're gonna get into some history here, and we're gonna talk about the Crusades. And this is one of my favorite topics because everyone is like, oh, the Muslims, like, I can't believe what they're doing. Folks, the Muslims have been doing this for 3,000 years. This isn't the first time Europe has fallen to Muslims. This is an ongoing occurrence. And I will say this. I started thinking about who is the most victimized class of people in world history. And I started thinking about, like, was it the Jews? I'm like, no. Was it blacks? No. Was it Christians? Maybe you have an argument. But victims, like the people who are like, what? We didn't do anything. What do you mean? We just... No, we peace. Allah be with you. Muslims are the biggest freaking victims in the world. And they sit here and pretend we didn't do it. We didn't hear nothing. We didn't see nothing. What do you mean he's decapitated? His head fell off. I have no idea what happened. And they sit here and play the victim. But honestly, they're the conquerors. Expansionism is the ideal, almost as bloodlust, in fact, more bloodlust than Russians. Russian are all about conquest and taking territory and seizing Europe again. That's still to this day what they want to do. But Muslims absolutely are expansionists. They're not isolationists in any way, shape, or form. And if you look at what they've done throughout their history, we're going to go over it and talk about the Crusades and more about this whole Muslim playing the victim thing. So we're going to do that. But first, Robbie Starbuck has a video that I thought you guys would like to see. Here it is. Watch this, and then we'll talk about it when we get back.
Every week, there's a new villain to frame. Every week, a new bombshell that's going to break this wide open. And every week, the last bombshell quietly disappears. This brings us somewhere between, let's say, 800 and 2,000 people who would be involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Your theory requires the world's smartest killers to pick the world's dumbest plan, leave the shooter alive, leave his texts intact, and fool everyone except you and Candace Owens.
She's a female.
That is one of the greatest statements I've heard. Candace is so good creating a duopoly. She creates a symbiotic relationship with the viewer and systematically infects their cerebral cortex, their nervous system, their spinal column, and turns them into a symbiote retard. She infects them like a virus. And I've watched her show now. I've learned what she does, and she talks to the singularity. Mm-hmm. She doesn't talk to the masses. She talks to you. We are not this dumb. We know the truth. They are not going to let you do this to them. Charlie cared about us. And when you do that, and you go ahead and you make it, and you tie lines of sinew and delineation from her to you, she sounds like she's your ambassador. She sounds like she's fighting for you, and only you and her know the real truth. It's actually a very, very clever marketing scheme, and I can tell you how IBM did that. IBM created personal attachment to the devices, and then Steve Jobs stole the idea, and that's when he made, don't you remember the Mac?
Yeah.
The neon colors, picking a color that's made just for you, because everyone's different and everybody loves different colors. So he would create personal devices, personal computing, very different. Here's the rest.
She's like, I'm just scared, and like I'm looking online and people are saying they're just saying that like they want me to die, and I'm just so overwhelmed right now, Mr. Vice President. I'm just so overwhelmed. Dab, dab, dab. No tears. I'm so overwhelmed.
I just want to go
I think it's disgusting that influencer wars and drama and people saying stupid things to each other has become the narrative instead of a spiritual revival. When you watch Candace, you need to ask yourself, what win is she stacking up? Because right now it looks like the only win is happening in her bank account. His death, his murder is not entertainment, and people have turned it into that. It's turned into infotainment, and it's pretty sick. Over the past 10 months, I've seen my friend Charlie Kirk's murder.
If you haven't seen Robbie Starbuck, go watch him. He's over on X and everywhere else at Robbie Starbuck. Anybody who has a set like that, like ours, deserves. I don't understand why everyone keeps making sets that I make, but nobody had this. Nobody had this. Everyone's doing this now. Daily Wire has changed all of their sets to this. Go look at Benny Johnson. Even Robbie Starbuck's set has changed. I'm a little. Listen, I can be an interior decorator and I can get a ponytail. Just ask. Leroy, your thoughts on this? I mean, is this accurate? Do we feel that this is she really is strong at human connection, and this is what makes her so damn appealing to so many lonely, over the limit of youth, so a little older, day drinking winos who have nothing to do but watch Wheel of Fortune? Is because that's her audience.
Well, I mean, you did marketing for how long? We know how this works. When you have a demographic, JD Stillwell donated $10, says, I did not meet goal, but
not to meet goal, but to be a part of future goal.
Thank you, JD. It looked like a J in the front of it or an L.
Thank you.
She definitely has a demographic that she serves, right? And it's not unlike the CNN audience. It's not unlike the Fox audience. She carved out a little section, right, of loyal followers. How much ever they need to be spoon-fed or not, that's going to be completely up to her. Whatever it is that she is selling, and in this case, it sounds like it's mostly conspiracy theory. It's a lot of conjecture with no evidence. It's a lot of the same language that we've seen every day. Matt's played those videos before where she says, now we've got the breaking evidence. Now, we have the smoking gun, and then there's nothing there. And it's a lot of that same thing over and over and over again. Quick story. I know somebody personally, an older person, who they get into these comfort modes. They seek the same thing over and over again. So in the case of this person, they tend to watch the TV show MASH a lot, the old TV show. Because why? Because it's comforting. It's something that they know. And so you run into a lot of this when people don't want to be challenged a lot, they tend to gravitate towards things that they know. And I think that's the audience that she's basically found, is that niche of conspiracy theory, that she just keeps feeding, whether or not it's 30-year-olds or, people stuck in a basement with, just too many keyboards at their disposal. She has found that audience, and it seems to be paying off.
It's not just it is a marketing technique, but it's epistemic closure. Epistemic closure is essentially the best way is, let me give you an example. Leroy, we all know that human beings came from fungo. We all know this. It's just common knowledge. Anthropologists will tell you we all came from fungoids, and that's just, we know this. So Tucker does this very, very well. I'm going to show you a video of him doing this. But Candace does it too. We all know a 30-06 bullet will rip your head off. Everyone knows that. Right. So what you've done is that it's obfuscation. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's isolation. She tries to isolate her viewers and puts them through trials and tribulations and tests to make them leave by their own stupidity. And they don't want to feel stupid, so they stay and buy into her nonsense. So she creates a group of people that's extremely popular, that everyone has. Oh, go Candace, you go Max Candace, go Max retard, and everyone follows the same thing. And then she challenges you to argue or be dismissive to her, and when you do, you're castigated out. And look at what she does to other podcasters. It doesn't matter who you are. She will over talk you. She'll yell at you. She'll get personal. She'll try to destroy your life. She's trying to do that with Ben Shapiro now. So I actually have some examples for you. Here is, there's two of them. The first one is a mock Candace interview that's just really, really funny. And the next one is Candace saying that she was never fired. Now, people might go, they still say, Matt, why do you constantly talk about Candace Owens? Because we've been doing it longer than anybody. Can anyone name a podcast that has actually warned you about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson before the Don't Unfriend Me show? Can anyone name one? Just one. Who was pushing back on Candace Owens 4.5 years ago? Who was pushing against Tucker when he had the liberal Sherpa on? It was us. And we told you that these guys were false prophets, that they were devil in sheep's clothing, that they were not Trump supporters. They were never Trumpers. So here's a video of Candace never being fired, and then I'll show you the mock interview, which is pretty funny. Watch this.
I love it when Charlie's DEI hire shows up in my comments. Yes, you were fired. Or technically, you were forced to resign. Everybody knows it. If you want to play semantics and you want to be specific, let's do that. You remember just the other day on the Sean Ryan show, Candace, when you lied to everybody, including right to Sean Ryan's face, and you said this.
And then this Brian Harpole one, which I'm being sued because of your show.
So wait a minute. What exactly? What?
It's crazy.
What is he suing you for?
Are you serious? Yep. Holy shit.
Defamation, which is difficult for me to comprehend, saying that I defamed him because I said that the security team was incompetent. And so he's blaming me for a loss of revenue to his business because I said he's incompetent. Now,
Candace, that was a flat out lie. And you know it. You're not being sued because you said Brian Harpole did a bad job. You're being sued because you're claiming that Brian Harpole was part of the conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. You're claiming that he had foreknowledge and was involved in his death. But for everybody out there, don't take my word for it. Let's read the lawsuit. Snow entered into a conspiracy with Owens for the express purpose of engaging in a coordinated and deliberate campaign designed to defame Harpole and ruin his reputation. Owens and Snow agreed that Owens would use her network, including her podcast, website, and social media accounts, all of which are controlled by either Candace Owens LLC or George Tom Inc., to promote and publish Snow's fallacious narrative that Harpole was involved in the plan with the United States to have Kirk assassinated. Paragraph 40. Importantly, the description of the episode reads, after today, I do not know how this leads to anything other than a full confession from the government about their involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. The description read within the context of the content of the episode clearly sends the message that Snow witnessed Harpole leaving a meeting where he was conspiring with the military and or federal government to have Charlie Kirk assassinated. Paragraph 42. The claim that Harpole was present at Fort Huachuca on September 9, 2025 for an alleged meeting is verifiably false, as Harpole's travel records plainly place him in Dallas, Texas.
Which we told you they were false. We told you specifically where he was at. We had flight data of where he was at. We also had multiple interviews that were done with other shows and other casters that said where he was. This guy was selling his story. Remember, he was an eyewitness to other things that happened in 2014 and 16. This guy makes a career hopping from podcast to podcast. And Candace, as always, will literally take any bait that is presented in front of her. I could call her and tell her that I saw a woolly mammoth walking down my street yesterday, and it actually had a 30-06 rifle strung to its back and a Star of David, and was wearing a yarmulke. And she would somehow explain that woolly mammoths are the one who killed Charlie Kirk because they were found in Israel, and we have eyewitnesses that they have matriculated over to here and immigrated to the United States with Egyptian airplanes to kill Charlie Kirk. This woman doesn't care. As long as she has an email, she is protected and can say, listen, Candace Owens doesn't think this. I'm literally getting tips from the Candace Owens hotline that are saying woolly mammoths who are Jews killed Charlie Kirk. And if you think I'm crazy, then go ahead and talk about the bee cult and how she tried to blame it on them.
There would also be records showing Harpole's access to the base. Owens had access to these records, but dismissed them without any investigation, claiming they did not provide an alibi for when the meeting concluded. To avoid any uncertainty, Brian Harpole has never been to Fort Huachuca.
Never.
Not ever. Additionally, there's no evidence that such a meeting even took place with or without Harpole. Despite the
Now, she's discrediting Harpole now. Now she's pulling away. And she's saying, oh, well, I don't have time to vet every single person to find out if their story is valid or not. Listen to the words coming. I don't have time to investigate to see if things are valid or not. That tells you all you need to know about Candy Owens.
Falsity of her claims, Owens viewers and supporters understood via responses that she was claiming Harpole conspired with the Trump administration to assassinate Charlie Kirk. So there you go, Candace. You're caught in just one more of a long history of lies over the last 10 months. You got a trail of lies, but what you don't have is a single piece of evidence in the last 10 months. Not a single, 10 months, millions of dollars, over 200 episodes, and you don't have a single piece of evidence that would be admissible in court. You're doing a great job.
Yes, all woolly mammoths are Jewish because the amount of hair on woolly mammoths. Have you seen Ben Shapiro's eyebrows? I rest my case. Woolly mammoths are Jews. Yes, of course they are.
The investigation, but you're not being sued because you said Brian Harpole did a bad job. You're being sued because you are accusing him without a single piece of evidence of being involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And you're just a liar. And by the way, TPUSA and Erica Kirk are going to end up suing you for the exact same thing, and I can't wait to see it. And what also proves that you're disingenuous and just a flat-out liar is that Erica Kirk gave you the information you needed to exonerate Brian Harpole, or at least gave you information that indicated that. You don't have to buy into it, but what you did have a responsibility to do was to tell your viewers. But yet, during the interview with Mitch Snow, you didn't even mention it once. And don't even go with, oh, I was texting Brian Harpole. You released that original episode on December 8th. You didn't even send Brian Harpole. And by the way, you already implicated him in that first episode. You didn't send him any text messages until after your meeting with Erica Kirk. The damage was done. You already claimed that he was part of the conspiracy, and that's exactly why you're going to lose this lawsuit, because you acted with malice. And you omitted that information.
Candy's in deep shit. Not only is the entire country of France suing her, the French government is suing Candace Owens for saying that Macron's wife has a penis, making up lies about her. She's suing her in civil court. She's going to just absolutely destroy her. This whole thing.
What's going to happen here? This is going to be the Kevin Spacey thing all over again, where all these lawsuits are literally going to wipe out her entire account.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Spacey,
nothing.
Kevin Spacey's hilarious. So I watched his interview with Maher, and he's like, listen, he's like, oh, I'm not saying I'm innocent. I did most of those things. They were just all consensual. Yeah. And we've won every single case, and he has. He's like, no, he's like, I'm a sexual deviant. Right? Yes, I've had gay sex with other men. I paid them. Yes, I had a proclivity for young boys, but not underage boys, but young men. Yes, that was my thing. And I'm like, whatever tickles your pickle, bro. You know what I mean? You're one hell of a
being honest about it.
You're a good actor.
But my point is that after the lawsuits came in, I mean, he was literally wiped out financially.
Oh, completely.
The same thing is going to happen to Candace, and it should.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a show like that is based completely on conjecture, try to pass it off as factual by finding a group of audience members who are just willing to buy that into conspiracy, sell it as fact, and then she admitted it. She was like, I don't actually investigate everything to that extent.
Well, the problem with Candace,
what are you doing with the show then?
Yes, the only clause for Candace is that she is going to have to do what Tucker did, is that nobody takes this seriously. She's going to have to say that. That's what Tucker and Fox News had to do. Oh, this is editorialization. These aren't facts. Right. Nobody takes this seriously. Nobody thinks this is real. She'll have to do that if she. Yep. Yeah, that's the only defense she has. She can't say she doesn't know because we have everything on tape. She's absolutely foobarred. But see, I don't think Candace is smart enough to do that and go, come on, you guys thought that this is real? A B cult, Britney Spears, really? She put enough crazy in her to get a get out of jail free card because that's what her producers and lawyers told her to do. But she won't run with that defense. This is the woman who actually feels that she's vindicated. She is the person who's the biggest advocate with the emperor with no clothes. She absolutely believes the emperor has clothes, even though he's buck naked right in front of her. That's her. Remember her statements, the three things that she always says. I'm just asking questions, right? The second thing she always asks is, I don't know, but I know. And then the obfuscation, simply going ahead and trying to make people feel stupid for not participating in her little club. She makes them want to be a part of it, and then she pushes them away with stupid, crazy frickin' theories that nobody believes and says, if you don't believe me, you're a part of the problem. You got the phone call. You're taking Jewish shekels. You're taking $7,000. You're on Netanyahu's payroll. And what she'll do is she'll isolate you, and then she will sick her cult members on you to destroy you. That's what she does. It's what she did to Laura Loomer. It's what she's doing to Ben Shapiro. It's what she's done to Erica Kirk. It's what she did to Patel. It's what she did to Bongino. She does it to everybody. She is an absolute devil. Here is an example of what you said 5 minutes ago, a sterling example of keeping them on the hook and just keep and then bait and switch. Here she is. If you know, but don't know, you still know.
Okay, I've seen a lot of people in the chat asking me, did we find out who Ben Shapiro was at lunch with? I can tell you the answer to that is yes. We instantly actually found out at least who went around and told people that he was at lunch with Ben Shapiro, and it opened.
See,
It's not the same.
Which
Perfect.
requires a little bit more research. We will not get out of this week without me telling you who that individual is, who was telling people that he was out to lunch with Ben Shapiro when he got that phone call. I mean, I'll tell you, it's bringing me to wanting to read the book about the Franklin cover-up. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
You're not familiar with it. You're looking at the fucking screen. Can anyone tell me how many times we talk about any topic and I'm doing this?
Yeah.
How many times do you see me doing that on any given topic? Unless I say, I don't know, let's look it up. That is the only, I don't know if you guys know this book that's really, really good that I don't know the name to and I've never read, but it's,
Right.
Here's the rest.
A lot of the podcasters, they do that. They'll do that with the open laptop. Ben Shapiro does it, but he more or less does it to use it as an outline to keep the show flowing.
Yeah.
She is actually using it as kind of a secondary brain. Just read off the screen, Candace, that we know this is what you're good at because you can deliver. And if you just say what we type, you'll be good.
Yeah,
and that's what this is.
I'll show you my screen. I can't even write some of these things in here. Some of these things are somewhat racist too that I put in here. These are my notes. Libra, and I can tell you that he sees the prep for the show. I throw the videos up. I don't even watch them, and you get real-time reaction. That's the way this works. Very rarely do I watch what I'm going to show you. Maybe a snippet or two. Anyway, here's the rest.
A lot of times telling me about is it called the Franklin cover-up? Cover-up. Is that what it's called?
She's Googling it now.
Widely debated conspiracy theory. Omaha, Nebraska, one of our Egyptian plane stops. The scandal involving a $40 million financial fraud, claims of abuse by high-ranking politicians, and satanic ritual abuse. So that's where that led me. And I just have to make research. I want to be slow and methodical and know what I'm speaking about.
No, you
As
don't.
You see, this is a heavily researched show. And if we make one mistake, if I say
she's
not
so
Omaha,
close,
Nebraska, but I instead say Omaha, Idaho, and they come out. And
is there an Omaha, Idaho? I don't think there's an Omaha, Idaho. I'm pretty sure there's no Omaha. Is there? Let's find out.
They know what you're talking about. And so this name just kind of made me go, okay, there's a lot happening here. Just a lot happening here. And I got to slow down. So like I said, we will not get out of this week without me revealing that information. And the person was willing to come forward on record and say that. But yeah, let's slow play because we also know that Ben is extremely litigious.
Litigious?
More than anybody else, that Ben is extremely litigious.
Why don't you just say he's a dirty Jew? Why don't you just get it out of your, like the way she said litigious? Mm-hmm. Why don't you just call him a dirty Jew? Why don't you just say he's very frugal? He's very frugal. We know what you want to say. Terrible. There is no Omaha, Idaho. She's such a retard.
I think that was her point, was that like if she made that mistake, people would come out of the woodwork to correct her.
I know.
That's like not the point.
The Jewish
point
woolly
is
mammoths.
that, like you're telling everyone you're telegraphing that the show goes through all of this research to make sure that all of your theories turn out to be correct, and it is anything but.
That's right.
You are. It is literally the antithesis of an accurate show.
So now that we've done this, and we've listened, we're going to go into Tucker now, but this isn't every show. It's not like we were like on a Candace kick for like a month, but I still have to show you how I will not allow any Don't Unfriend Me people to believe. Watch her, I don't care, but I will not allow you to believe one word that comes out of her mouth. I will destroy everything she says. I've been doing it too long. And honestly, I would love to have a conversation with Candace because she is probably one of the greatest manipulating personalities. They remind me of the 700 Club, and they remind me of the televangelist that stole millions of people. They are Tammy Faye, Jim Baker. They are excellent at conning people. They are incredible grifters, and they're snake oil salesmen. This is what they are. But they have such magnanimous personalities, but based on literally nothing. They're attractive because they keep you in suspense. It's like a good book or a good murder mystery. It's like the WWF. You suspend disbelief when you're watching the WWF because you want to be entertained. You suspend disbelief with Candace Owens because you want to believe that Charlie was taken by a grand conspiracy. It couldn't possibly be something as simple as a retarded freaking furry gay guy who shot him. You can't accept it.
Right. And the truth is, every good conspiracy theory, within every good conspiracy theory, there is about 10% of it that might be believable.
Sure.
One little slant on a fact that opens the door for the rest of the narrative that almost seems plausible.
Yeah.
Right? And what Candace and the likes of her do is once they have that door open, right, then they just start spinning that narrative. Because of that 10% true thing, right? They create this entire world that seems like, oh, she understands. She's got our backs. And it's completely fabricated.
She actually has found one piece of evidence. He was wrong. Candace broke this case wide open and nobody even realized it. I pointed this out last week. Do you remember the Chick-fil-A picture she showed of Tyler Robinson? And he was in Chick-fil-A in the maroon shirt and the hat and the glasses, and he's up there and he's looking at a CCTV. We played it on the show, people. You guys remember that? She came out and said, see, he was at Chick-fil-A during the shooting. There's no way. She changed the timestamp on it. But she found that photograph, and someone gave it to her from Chick-fil-A corporate office and sent it to Candace because they watch it. And she went ahead and released it. Put a false timestamp on it because it's her source. She can do whatever the hell she wants, make up whatever she wants, as long as it's partially true to her knowledge. Put that out there. But what it really was, it was actually like 4:30 in the afternoon. They actually had the geolocation of that Chick-fil-A, and it was showing him in the exact same outfit that he wore when he shot Charlie and came down the stairs. So when they saw him in the maroon shirt, this just proves it's him. So she showed something just 3 or 4 weeks after the shooting when they had Tyler Robinson in custody to show and disprove that he wasn't there at the shooting, that he was somewhere else, which actually proved that he was now that we actually have the video footage. So she proved that he was guilty 3 weeks after Charlie Kirk died. And this has sat here and lied to you for 10 months knowing full well that Tyler Robinson did it. And she's the one that showed it to you. And people still buy her shit.
How much do you want to bet there is some level of evidence that she has tried to expose on her show that will end up in either the prosecution or the defense pile during the actual trial that people are going to have to go through? They're going to have to like sift through all of this crap because she put it on her show, and all of a sudden people are, this is literally going to be tried to some degree on her show. Yeah.
Yes.
This is terrible.
She said she wanted to get Tyler Robinson off. Folks, if she had any evidence or any insight in any way, shape, or form that was worth a tinker's damn, I can't believe I said that. I didn't drop the GD, folks. I'm growing. If she did, don't you think that the defense would call her as an expert witness?
Right. Exactly.
Don't you think they would call her and be like, lady, get your ass on the show?
Ms. Owens, please raise your right hand. Right.
Praise to Allah.
Is that a
because
Bible?
that
Can't touch it?
Yeah, because she's not a Catholic. This is the picture. Everyone remembers this picture. Here, I'll show it to you. See if I can find it. God, I know I. So here's the first picture. Here's a picture of him in the same shirt. Here's his shoes, exact same shoes. There's the maroon shirt previously wearing it. Okay, and hold on. See if I can find this. Just so we have it. Oh, Here you go. This is what Candy Owens released. You guys remember this? And he was getting a box of nuggets in Chick-fil-A, and it even says Candace. I even got here it is. I got the screenshot. It's all in my guys. When I die, you need to go everyone needs to get a hold of the Matt files. Whoever Leroy, you need to sell my computer if I die, because I have so much shit on here that you guys, it literally, like I could solve
you'd have a list of photos and I'd be afraid to start looking through them.
No, not those photos. Those are secret. But you guys see lower right-hand corner, Candace, she released this. This was weeks after and she's like, look he was in Chick-fil-A. He wasn't even there. So he assassinates somebody and goes and and gets food right after. Well, it wasn't. It was later in that afternoon, and it's wearing the exact same thing. You guys, she solved this when it was already solved. And for 10 months, the bitch has been lying to you. You know what? Nobody cooks her like I do. Nobody. Because I know her than you don't want to know how I know Candace Owens so well? Because she's my mother.
Oh.
Now you understand.
Same personality type.
Now you know this better than anybody. Yeah. You know this better than anybody. She's completely manic depressive, compulsive, bipolar, and narcissist. Completely. Here's just a quick, I'm only going to play a quick one of this, and then we're going to get to Tucker. This is just, I don't remember the lady's name. I'm sorry. I usually give credit to everybody, but this is just great. She's mocking Candace, and it's a cut video, so I'll try to find her name.
Well, hey, Candy, it's been a while. So, wow, I see that you really took my advice to heart that you'd be a great cult leader. So glad we could follow up so I can take notes about that and see how the investigation is going.
Sounds like there's some rumors out there about me. I gotta clear up. I'm so nice. I'm so friendly. You know.
Yeah, torturing widows for fun, ruining lives, and creating a cult-like following by creating asinine conspiracies just totally seems so nice.
It genuinely doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, girl, yeah. No, trust me, we get that. So last time we spoke, you told us that some financial reports would be coming out in the coming weeks. Right. Yeah, we're still waiting on those. Do they even exist? No? Of course they don't. Okay. You think I'd learned that by now. You also warned about a 9/11 style attack in December of 2025. You told us to save the tweet, and I did. I did.
So did I. So did I.
Just shut that entire part of my life off.
Oh, and so did your audience. And then there were the Egyptian military planes, the Israeli cell phones. Oh, the Mitch Snow situation. Oh. Oof. That one was rough, Candy. Good thing you memory hold that one for your audience, though. Way to go.
Thank you so much.
And we would just, I don't know, maybe we could verify these other sources giving you all this info.
I don't think Tyler Robinson was there.
Oh, okay. So we're just...
Melissa Doherty, Mel Doherty 77 over on Twitter found it for you. We're going to start doing this with all of our videos as I'm going to give you their tags because, listen, people use my shit all the time and I never get any credit. And a lot of people use my stuff and don't even say that they got it here and pawn it off as their own. So I'm going to do what I can to make sure we take care of people.
We're just skipping all those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow, you'd think his parents would be pretty upset, huh?
I think a total patsy. I think they get lookalikes and they got everybody wearing the same outfit.
I mean, that doesn't answer my question, but okay, lookalikes.
I feel confident stating that Tyler Robinson did not murder Charlie Kirk.
Right. You don't know, you just know. Am I right?
That's good.
Okay. Anyway,
you can go watch the full thing on Melissa's site. It's excellent. I don't have 8 minutes, but it goes on for 8 minutes, and she does literally just scorched earth. Here's what we were talking about earlier as far as obfuscation and what it means. And epistemic closure, which is essentially shaming someone into agreeing with you by giving this assertive declaration that it's already true and already established. It happens a lot in debates, especially with liberals. They'll say things. A man is not a man. A man can get pregnant. We know this, especially if it's a trans man. And you're like, wait a second, stop. There are 67 genders because genders are a spectrum. Everyone knows this. All scientists agree. No, they don't. So they'll do this. We all know that a fetus is a clump of cells. The scientific community has already stated this. This is what that epistemic closure means. And this is what Tucker and Candace do. Here's an example of Tucker, and then we'll get into some news for you. Nice to see so many people on. We're actually cooking tonight. I've got 46 over on Twitter, which isn't bad. Nice on YouTube, 35. Nice 60 on Facebook, a little bit better than it has been. We've actually been doing really well on Facebook, not on the live show, but we've been killing it on the videos. I don't know if you guys have seen the last few videos that I've done. All are up in the 500,000. So that feels pretty good. Let's watch this. So you guys know what we're talking about. Here it is.
Obviously.
This is Jeremy Boring who's talking about this, founder of Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro, you know, the Jew.
Obviously. This is what's known as epistemic closure. Language that signals that the question has already been settled. So asking for evidence feels like you're the one who's out of bounds. My team analyzed 23 episodes of Tucker's show. We found hundreds of examples of this kind of language.
Thousands.
Obviously, clearly, of course, everyone knows. There's a well-documented effect behind this. It's called the illusory truth effect. The more often you hear something, especially something stated with extreme confidence, the more likely you are to believe it, whether it's true or not.
This was known as the reality distortion field for Steve Jobs. If you read Steve Jobs' Walter Isaacson's autobiography, I recommend it to anybody. It's fantastic, even though Isaacson's a complete dick. He talks about the reality distortion field, that whenever Steve Jobs is around, he would just say things. And for instance, he's like, you can put 1,000 songs in the palm of your hand. You're just not fucking working hard enough. And people are like, bro, there's nothing that an LCD screen that's literally the size of a matchbook. No, it doesn't exist. We can't do it. And he's like, yes, you can. Do it or else. Do you know there were the iPad itself, that the iPad's memory was decided to 32 or 64 when it came out because his first initial wave of the iPads, he snapped 32 of them. It's not a joke. They would bring it to him. He would look at it and say, it's too effing heavy. Snap it and throw it at him. Get back to work. Bring it in here. Battery sucks. Boom. Operating system shit. Keyboard's not responsive. Audio is horrible. Dimming on this sucks. And he would just destroy it. And you would be like, that was Steve Jobs' reality distortion field. But like Candace and like Tucker, you wanted to impress him. You wanted to please him so bad. And some people wanted to kill him. But their effort to please him was more insatiable than their willingness to kill him and murder him. That's what people said about Steve Jobs. Now other people loved him. They're like, I loved his intensity. I got motivated. But other people, it was very yin and yang with their feelings. Here's the rest of Boring.
Not. Now, of course, not every use of the phrase, of course, is illegitimate. I just used it right there. But that's what makes it so tricky. See, Tucker takes these phrases and he tacks them often enough onto legitimately obvious and self-evident claims. But then he deftly weaves them in with wild, unsubstantiated claims, with a thought-terminating phrase like, of course, tacked on at the end, as if he's merely commenting that the sky is blue. Here he is, for example, commenting on the Russia-Ukraine war and America's role in it. The Ukrainian government has tried to assassinate Vladimir Putin multiple times. Has the CIA assisted with the targeting of those drones? Yes, obviously. Tell me how you didn't. No source, no document, no former official on the record, no whistleblower, nothing. Just obviously. And then immediately, the inversion. The burden of proof shifts. It no longer belongs to the person making the claim. It belongs to the CIA and to you for doubting it.
That is so spot on.
Get it.
There is something out there called the Mandela effect. Okay.
Yes.
And the Mandela effect it extends across all society, right? And it's things like, did the chick in Moonraker who was Metal Mouth's girlfriend, did she actually have braces, right? And people, there's evidence that says that no, she didn't, but people remember that she did. What Candace is doing, what Tucker is doing, is they're trying to use that with no evidence, but tell you, oh, she absolutely had braces, and obviously, right? That's what they're doing, is they're trying to kind of twist the Mandela effect so that it removes any doubt of their claim, as if to say, this is what happened, obviously, and in the hopes that nobody will have the gumption to actually dig up the evidence, because they, to some degree, they have a lot of the when you make a claim like that, it might be a small sliver of evidence. Joanne Townsend donated $20, says, thank you, Matt and Leroy. No, thank you, Joanne. And so if they can provide just a sliver of evidence to support their claim, then it kind of extend that into this other narrative. That's kind of the Mandela effect that I'm thinking that they're trying to plant the seed for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it may not. Mandela effect is not a spontaneous recollective thought. It has to do over a time period. Like, for instance, if you take a look at the 7-Eleven logo, people see that differently and think that there was a dash in the 7-Eleven logo. If you take a look at one of the biggest ones, right, obviously, if you take a look at one of the big ones, is Sinbad was a genie in a movie. Sinbad was never a genie in any movie, ever. And what they've done is they've taken Shaquille O'Neal and Shazam and Arsenio Hall, who was on Sinbad, who Arsenio all the time wore purple, and so did Sinbad. And sequence purple is that they make the correlation, and their brain has gaps, and their brain fills in from the cortex and from their memory, and the creative portion of the brain fills in the gap. That's the Mandela effect. So you can't create a spontaneous Mandela effect, but what you are talking about is similar properties to the Mandela effect. Is you're sure of something is true, and no matter what anyone says, you will not find it to be false. There's a difference. What we're talking about here is falsifiable truth. Now, a lot of people go, falsifiable, that means it's false. No, that's not what it means. It means it can be proven to be untrue. That's not the same thing. So let me give you an example. All swans are white. Well, if you've only seen white swans your entire life, of course, all swans are white. But the truth is, if you show somebody a black swan, you have now shown that that is a falsifiable truth. It is something based upon your understanding, your limited scope. And that is the difference between objective and subjective truth. Subjective means that I need to see it in order for it to be real. Objective means we don't give a fuck if you see it. It's always real. That's the difference. Does everyone understand?
Right. And we've talked about this on the show before, about the differences between a type 1 and a type 2 logical error. And a type 1 logic error is like a false positive. It's believing the lie, whereas a type 2 error is rejecting the truth. And I think that's where Candace has that audience. I think that's where Tucker has been able to leverage a little bit of that audience, is by playing around a little bit in those shadows and kind of leading an audience based off a demographic down one of those two paths, right? Where it's the evidence is there, but it's not all there. And so they can feed you a lie, right? And sell it as the truth. Yeah, I think we're all headed on the same.
So this is the photo. Everyone swears. They're like, see, this is true. Here's Sinbad. And he this is actually made up. This is fake. This isn't true. People over the years have used Photoshop. Shazam, Sinbad is
Shazam. I thought it was Will Smith.
No. Nope. It's always been him. And really we've got $5 from Anonymous. Thank you. My intention wasn't to stump donations. Come on, dummies, make it shine. Ooh, Anonymous is laying down the gauntlet.
Make it rain.
She put 300 in, and she's like, she wanted everyone to help out more. So, here's the example. It was actually Kazam, not Shazam, but everyone makes the correlation. And this systematic neurologic episode really is what it is. It's something that is a global phenomenon, that people who are inundated with the same type of information and data, with the same amount of gaps in that information, the human brain will correspond accordingly, systematically based upon its mapping and synapses to fill in the blanks. But somebody from China will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? Me no see no Shazam, Kazam. Who the fuck Sinbad? They won't because they have not been experienced and exposed to the same data. This is the phenomenon that is falsifiable truth. So just because you think it's true doesn't make it true. And just because I show you something that disproves your theory or disproves your facts or your truth doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or I'm a Jew. But that's what they do. So what they do is they move from one falsifiable truth to another, and they make declarative statements. All swans are white. Actually, no, there's black swans. No, there's not. You're just a Jew, and you get paid $7,000. Right. You just hate me. You
Don't
need
be
to
homophobic.
Go read a book. Go read. I love that one. Which book? Which book do you want me to fucking read? Which chapter talks about your idiocy? Tell me which book to read.
The one that I hear the most often, because it comes from somebody in my family, is look it up. They will pass something off as a fact that is in fact wrong. And then when you're like, I'm not sure that's true, you'll hear that in response. Look it up.
Yeah. Read. You need to read more. What would you like me to read? I mean, Mad Magazine, is that even in print anymore? By the way, someone said Will Smith was in Aladdin. Yeah, but we're talking Sinbad and Will Smith Aladdin are like 35 years apart, but absolutely yes. Yes, Riley. Here is I'm glad we watched that. That's good. You know what? We need to get off Candace, but there's some really good stuff. Here is Elizabeth Warren. You know, she just got done. She's having a bang up job. We just got off the Graham Plattner bus in Maine, who wound up. Oh, what a shit show that was! And she still
endorsed him hard in the beginning.
Oh, she was licking her lips. You know, like, oh, hey, honey, would you like to have a beer in the kitchen with me?
She did
hey, Graham,
on that one. Yeah.
Let's do a 3-way, Graham. I want to. Who wants a mustache ride? I do. So here is Warren now endorsing another commie.
I'm endorsing Abdul El-Sayed for Senate in Michigan.
Of course
Abdul
you
is
are.
the only candidate in this race not taking corporate money, and he's fighting to get money out of politics.
Who will really martyr himself to make it work by blowing things up.
Altogether.
Right.
Abdul studied to be a doctor, and he's fighting for every single American to have affordable, high-quality health care. Abdul has been a card-carrying union.
We're willing to cut heads to save dollars.
member, and he's fighting for working people. That's why he's endorsed by the United Auto Workers, and he's growing a movement of working people all across Michigan.
I mean, he's in the right state to do it.
Endorsing Abdul. He is the fighter Michigan needs in the Senate.
I really want to fire on those health cares.
Michiganders deserve a senator who will fight for you, not for special interests running millions of dollars in TV ads to buy this seat. And make no mistake, Abdul is the only candidate in this race who will build grassroots movement. Neither do you. Money in your pocket, out of politics.
This is better than listening to her.
That smile is so fake. Abdul Saeed. What was that guy's name?
I kill you.
Abdul El-Sayed, I think.
Abdul El-Sayed.
Yeah,
just
Abdul
blow away
El-Sayed.
the competition.
Yeah, just gonna blow away the competition. That's right.
Just
what a this chick. I mean, God, dude. I mean, seriously, man. We know you're 1084th Native American, but you must have some freaking some sheep herder in you or something, because man, the way you suck off the ragheads and commies, is that wrong? Can I say that? I don't really give a fuck. I'm sick and tired of these people. Like, ladies, gentlemen, the two biggest threats to Western civilization are communism and Muslims. I'm sorry. They don't coincide. They're antithetical to everything we believe. And I'm not saying that Muslims can't come here, but you need to fucking assimilate. You need to put down the Egyptian clock and the clacker, okay? Because that's not going to work here. You have anything to say on this? Slap-a-hoe is what Karen calls her, slap-a-hoe.
No, Elizabeth Warren is she's one of those terrible humans who has been in her position far too long, has accepted the same money, right, that she is basically demonizing everyone else for taking. She has accepted, right? and complete hypocrite. And in most cases, just by example of she would endorsed, what was his name? The guy who just
Graham Plattner.
Graham Plattner. She endorsed Graham Plattner in the beginning, and then after his little, after he went down the toilet, she immediately had to pivot. And that's what politicians do. They have to sell you on the next lie so that you don't look at what she had said prior.
And if you ask Abdul al-Said, he'd be like, what's a little rape?
Right.
It's just a little rape. There's nothing wrong with little rape. It's just little
Go
rape.
ahead it coming. Yeah.
Yes, but it's from Velcro gloves so they don't run away. So now you have Hassan Piker. Dude, Leroy, this doofus was wearing a Mao Zedong tunic at his speech. Dude, communism is like this. We need a little McCarthyism. Like, can we make James Wood the Department of the Interior and get James Wood? James Wood will run. He will run a tribunal, and it'll make Nuremberg look like a freaking a massage parlor. But we got to root this shit out of this country, dude, because these guys they're not fucking hiding it anymore, dude. And you and I have seen it. We've seen it firsthand. And we know what's coming. This is how it starts. Venezuela was top 3, one of the most richest countries in the world, one of the most prosperous. They were talking about Venezuela being a superpower 20 years ago. Now look at it. Communism, it doesn't take long, man. It's one generation and you're done. This isn't a joke.
No, it's not. In every country where, and how many times have we heard socialists and communists make the argument, they will say, oh, that wasn't real communism. Oh, that wasn't real. So it's never actually been tried. Okay, break this down Barney style, because every time you go back to what Marx and Engels had written, every time you go back to any of the founding documents between Marxism and fascism.
Yeah, Lenin and Marx both said it.
There is one common thread, folks, and that is the prioritization of the state over individuals. The prioritization of the state over individuals' rights. And that is the exact opposite of how this country was founded. Correct. This country was founded on the idea of you, the person, have the right to personal property, to say what you want, to defend yourself. And all of that has to be removed when you're trying to establish a state like communism. Yep. And that's the only way these people like Elizabeth Warren and her new friend Abdul al-Said, that's the only way they would be successful. But them, it's not about the success. Their idea of success is to get into Congress, to get into Senate, and then to stay as long as humanly possible, to inflict as much damage with policy while collecting a massive paycheck.
Marx and Lenin both said the same thing. Marx was focused on the means of production run by the state. Lenin absolutely 100% with no equivocation said that socialism is the bridge to communism, and it's actually what it's there for. It's what it's designed to do. Its final state is communism. And how do we know this is true? I don't know. Let's take a look at every single socialist country on the planet that is truly socialist, which means the government owns the means of production, that the individual is no longer considered over collectivism. Let's take a look at that with totalitarianism. Let's take a look with nihilism, with no religion, no objective truth. This is socialism. This is communism. It's not just a means of economy. It is a philosophy. And it's laced in Saul Alinsky, Marxist Leninist tactics, and rooted all the way back to Nietzsche with nihilism.
Yes.
Take a look at 1799. This is the invention of nihilism, but nihilism was actually around in the Bible. There are biblical quotes that do not use the word nihilism, but is the exact definition of nihilism. This has been around for thousands of years. People think this fight is a 100-year fight. It's not. And I'm going to show it to you. And we're going to talk about it when we get to the Crusades. And I spent 9 hours, formulating a list throughout history of Arabs killing Christians and invading Christian lands. 9 hours. This was a rabbit hole I did not expect to go down. I've read these things, but the dates are incredible. I challenge anyone like Hassan Piker, this commie douchebag, to stand up and tell me Muslims are not in the business of conquering lands, killing Jews, and killing Christians and each other because they don't agree with their God and their theology. You blame Christians as doing that. That's not what Christians do. Hassan Piker's been quoted as saying that. Democrats are saying that Christian white nationalists kill anyone who doesn't believe in their religion. That's bullshit. Because if you took a look at the original 13 colonies, there were 9 different religions. That is why they reserved the powers of the states to create their own religion. Some of them were theists, but they were Quakers. They were Presbyterians. You had Catholics. You had multiple religions inside the United States. So they said, no, not separation of church and state. What they said is the state cannot mandate a religion, and we are going to allow the states to decide for themselves what religion they want to be. They never meant for religion to be out of government, ever. Getting pissed. Hassan Piker, I'm going to let you handle this and you crush it. I know you got things to say. Sorry, I'm fired up.
No more to the Democrats who compromise, who conciliate, and who betray us. No more to the fascist reactionaries, but no more to the Democrats who will collaborate and cooperate with the fascists, who will fund ICE, who will fund Israel, who will help poison the planet, who will stiff workers and help bosses. We don't need those Democrats anymore. In fact, we have a message. We are coming. We are unbossed, we're unbought, we're unbowed, and we will become undeniable.
What a douche nugget.
I don't know a whole lot about him, man. I'm being completely honest. Don't forget, folks, I've been kind of out of things for the last 2-3 weeks. Good speech. But here's the thing. You can't form the whole point of being a United States citizen, right, is to be an individual, to be responsible for yourself. So you can't really fall into a group, right, and just expect that you're going to align with their values. I question anybody who immediately just falls into a group, right? I think that groupthink or the identification of a group leads down dangerous paths at times, because then there are moments where you just go by with whatever the group wants. And I find that to be dangerous. But to his point, fascism, if you're going to be anti-fascism, anti-communist, anti-socialist, I wish the Democrats would all get on board with that, because their messaging certainly has been, look, the state needs to take care of you. You're a victim.
Yeah, and wearing a Chinese Maoist uniform isn't the best way to do it either.
And I find that to be deeply offensive.
Bro, rocking a Mao, I mean, seriously. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, Hassan Piker is one of the charismatic people. He has a huge following. He's cleaned himself up. He's wearing freaking $1,000 suits, and he's trying to appear. That's the same charisma that Nick Fuentes has. You know, also Hitler was very charismatic as well. So, you know, true. Am I saying Hassan Piker is going to throw people in boxcars? No. What I'm saying is that his policies and political ideology believe in just that. That opposition to the greater state's good should be eradicated and destroyed. These are commonalities in socialism. This is commonalities in Maoist principles. This is commonalities in nihilism. Nihilism explains that abortion is fine, that mass murder is fine, that genocide nothing matters. That's nihilism. There's three distinct truths to nihilism, and all of them having to do with subjective morality, and that morality is defined by you. There is no greater moral good. Here is a perfect example. We're cooking tonight. I'm having a good time. Van Jones. Van Jones was fired from the Obama administration for having extreme views. Last night I made the comparison contrast that would be like Keith Richards to tell you to slow down on the cocaine. Van Jones is an extremist, and he is a ultra progressive, and he's like, I want off this train. So let me get this straight. So the biggest pundits of people who told you communism would never take root in here, that democratic socialist wasn't, oh, whatever, it's not socialism. It's lipstick social programs. Remember, that's where they used to be. We're not moderates. We're progressives. We're not progressives. We're slowly moving to social programs to support inequity. No, now we're democratic socialists. Now we're CSA, the Communist Socialists of America. Folks, this is going to be full-blown. Let's go ahead and have government-controlled everything. Yep. Let's tax the country into poverty. Let's remember, we tried this before. What happened to all the businesses? We forced them out. We punished those businesses. We manualized labor into something that was cheaper overseas. And whatever jobs were remaining, we went ahead and allowed those overseas companies to buy out and produce things in the United States at a lower cost by using robots. This is how they destroyed our automotive industry. This is how they destroyed our steel industry. They exported our business and ultimately destroyed state after state after state in the Rust Belt. And when we're finally seeing the forest of the trees, they're going to want to do it all again. Here's Van Jones.
This phone has been blowing up all day. Governors from both parties, senators from both parties, Democrats in the House calling, thanking me for saying what everybody's been saying behind the scenes, which is that this stuff is going too far. I am a progressive Democrat. You want to talk about prison reform? I've done it as well as anybody, Republican Democrats in the South with Trump. I've done prison reform. I never said have no prisons. Where are you going to put the Klan? I've done police reform. I never said no police. Where are you going to put the pedophiles?
Where are you going to put the Klan? You mean the 3,000 active Klan members in the United States of America right now that are literally the laughing stock of every single place they live? I have a Klan, an active Klan, fortified area about 750 yards away from me. And let me tell you what, I've never seen them come out. I've never seen them walk around. And if any of them did, we would all take a turn kicking the living shit out of them in my town. There is no Klan anymore.
Well, this
at least not the 700,000 that were in Chicago for the DNC. Go ahead.
Yeah. What he's doing is a perfect example of manipulation, right? Every example of people that need to be locked up, every example of the demonization of it's always of the other side, never of the people within his own party that could be held in those same, those same accounts, right? It's always going to be, he will bring up examples of Republicans or right-leaners or conservatives, everyone who he thinks fits that description in order to make that case, in order to make the case of, well, if it's a Klan member, they're obviously right-leaning. If it's the anti-abortion people, those are obviously right-leaning, right? But those are the people that deserve to go to jail. He will bring up every example of people who run with conservative values, try to turn them into criminals, but he would never mention the criminals that live on his side of the aisle.
Right. It's the same people that told you 3.5, 4 months ago that the right-wing part of the Conservative Party were the most politically violent in America. You remember when they sold you that bullshit? Yep. Well, guess what? The new fucking study is out, and it is saying what it's always said, that the left has owned all political violence in this country. The dumbest thing we ever did was give them a win with J6. We never should have done it. We would be 0 for 0. We do not get involved in political violence. Republicans don't riot. Republicans don't protest the way they do. These guys have always owned it. Take a look at every major assassination that has taken place in the United States from 1750 on has been owned by liberals.
Yep.
Liberals, not classic liberals, these leftist pukes. From John Lennon to Ronald Reagan to Abraham Lincoln, they were all Democrats. Don't give me this shit.
Who's going to grab the pedophiles? This stuff is going too far. And part of the thing that has to happen is we saw what happened in the Republican Party when things started going in a nutty direction and nobody stood up. I am happy that the young people are fighting for affordability, Medicare for all the good things. I've been
socialist stuff
waiting my whole life to see a youth movement do what it's
truly
doing.
fighting for affordability.
But it's being
If he was truly fighting for affordability, he would be supporting capitalism. He would be inviting more open market, free market solutions in order to bring down those costs. But he's not going to do that. It has to be through the lens of big government with the use of heavy-handed government in order to enact those policies.
You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You agree with what they want, but you don't agree with the way they're going to try to acquire it.
Right.
That's your problem. It's what all Democrats do. You guys don't like the fact, you guys don't really have a problem that we're getting criminals out of the United States and deporting them. You have a problem with the way it's happening. You don't have a problem that Trump is hitting Iran in the way he is and securing the United States from a nuclear weapon. You don't like the way he's doing it. And you certainly don't give a shit about Hamas and a bunch of freaking goat herders in a place that is not Palestine all of a sudden when none of you gave a flying shit before October 7th or September 7th. You simply don't like the way things are done. You don't care about the result. That's the problem. And Van Jones, honestly, I dislike him more now than I ever have, because what you should do is repudiate everything that the liberals are doing 120%. 120%. But instead, you're just complaining about the way they're doing it. You agree with the result. Go ahead.
Something you said just there is so important. Through the course of any political discussion about policy, the two greatest people that I ever heard bring up this point were Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams, who said that when you formulate a policy, policies should not be judged on the way on their intent. The intent of this policy was to do this. Policies need to be judged on their results. And that's what Matt was talking about. The results of a policy are far more impactful, far more important to focus on than their intent. I can write any number of bills with the intent to make things more affordable, with the intent of, bringing down crime. But it's the enactment of it. It's the action that's important, because that end result, that's how programs should be judged.
Correct.
Can we take a quick break? I have to pee.
You go pee. You go pee. Folks, it's a great time to bring you into, let's see. We'll go do this real quick. Let's see. Coffee. We need coffee. We haven't purchased any coffee lately. Coffee is not doing well. Jeff Oliphant purchased some coffee, but we do have coffee here. We have shirts. We have hats. We have jackets. We have everything. If you guys like the stuff we wear on the show, it's available. And our stuff, listen, I'll put it against anybody. Most of our stuff is made in the United States. Most of our stuff is a little more expensive, but you can go look at hoodies and look at t-shirts. I see sites doing them for $35-$40. We're not doing that. Most of our stuff on our site is actually fairly affordable, but the key is that it lasts forever. Go take a look. Most of our stuff, especially some of the specialty stuff, our books, Made in the USA, Library of Congress, all of our books. If you take a look at our coffee, veteran-owned and made by Compagnon, which is a coffee and roastery and brewery. Fantastic coffee. It's amazing stuff. They sell it in this restaurant. It's a pizza and Italian restaurant, and they also roast coffee fresh. It's amazing stuff. Nobody complains about our coffee. Go take a look. Go over there. Do that. Go to thedumbshow.com, and you can go pick up some stuff. Also, you can go donate to the show. If you guys like the show, you like the tempo, you like the comments being said, you can help support the show by going to thedumbshow.com/donate. Just because we've hit goal and we're in overtime doesn't mean we don't appreciate more. It helps. A big donation is always nice, but what's really cool is when we get a big donation and people continue to donate, it helps out the show. So if you have a second, please do so. And then we have Leroy back. I filled the time like Mike Rowe would do with the pen on QVC. Here is next video. Good job. Bernie Sanders. I remember this video was funny is that when we were in pre-production for the show, Leroy and I were talking. I'm like, God, that's a Bernie Sanders video. I remember this. This is like 30 years ago, 25 years ago. I don't remember how long ago. And it was when Bill Clinton was in office. And I'm like, what, I think he's talking about Nicaragua and Ortega. And lo and behold,
It's exactly what he was talking about. It was the
Social
president.
countries? Is
Yeah.
it one of those speeches?
Yeah, president of Nicaragua, when it was overthrown, he's basically saying, oh, come on. They said the same thing about Castro, that he was a socialist dictator, and look how good he is. Well, he said this about Ortega. Well, Ortega just suspended elections and said there will be no more elections in Nicaragua. I am de facto president, supreme leader from now on. Here is Bernie Bro talking about Ortega decades ago, and here is his favorite human being.
I think what I learned, one of the things that I think I learned on my trip, as a socialist, the word socialism does not frighten me, and I think it's probably fair to say that the Nicaraguan government is primarily a socialist government. You may recall way back in, 1961, they invaded Cuba, and everybody was totally convinced that Castro was the worst guy in the world, that all the Cuban people were going to rise up in rebellion against Fidel Castro. They had forgot that he educated their kids, gave them health care, totally transformed the society. But just because Ronald Reagan dislikes these people does not mean to say that the people in their own nations feel the same way.
How do you find the sincerity of Sandinista leaders?
I was impressed. I was impressed by Father Descoto because he is a very gentle, very loving man. Ortega is an impressive guy. Ernesto Cardenal is a funny-looking guy. He's gray hair. And he really does remind you of a hippie.
Did you have suggestions for them how they could organize their PR a little bit more effectively?
I think yes. I mean, the point that I try to make to many of the people that I spoke to is they're getting killed in the American media.
Mm-hmm.
They just cannot compete. Reagan and his people are so sophisticated. They own the airwaves, of course. Reagan, the media, every time Reagan gives them a photo opportunity, thousands. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much for telling us another lie.
Wow.
The media, of course, is not allowed to ask sharp questions of the president. That's not allowed. My point to Ortega is they are not getting their message of what they are trying to do out to the American people, and there's just no question about that. And they just don't have that kind of sophistication to understand how to manipulate the media. As the White House has dozens of people who are trained. They are trained and well-paid people who are professional manipulators of the media. They have their contacts in CBS and NBC and ABC. That's what they're paid to do, and they do it very, very well. Ortega is the president of a country of 3 million people. They have probably one television station. They have no sophistication. They have no knowledge as to when you call. They call press conferences that the media can't even use here in the United States because it's the wrong time. There's a whole science around this, which they're not aware of. They have contacts now they've hired a public relations firm in the United States, and they're trying to improve it. But the main point is, I think they have got to very greatly improve their ability to communicate with the average American, and that's what I said.
Mm-hmm. Their propaganda isn't good enough, Leroy. Their propaganda sucks.
Unbelievable. He sat there and made the case that Fidel Castro had educated, fed, and made their health system in Cuba so much better. And yet when you look at it today, they have rolling blackouts, energy crisis, their mortality rates are down the drain, and their schooling is horrid. But where's that argument now? Right? Because everything is great in the very beginning, right? When you first get that infusion of money after you've stolen it from everybody else, right? You can do all sorts of great things. The problem with spending other people's money is eventually you run out of it, right? It was not, who said that? That was Margaret. Was that Margaret Thatcher?
When you run out of other people's money.
The problem with socialism is you always run out of other people's money. Something like that.
It wasn't. Hold on a second. I just looked this up too. It wasn't Thatcher, and it wasn't Churchill. Was it Churchill?
I don't know. God, I'm old.
It was Thatcher. Yeah, it was either Thatcher or Churchill. You're right. Yeah, okay. So Thatcher. Yep.
And so I guess my point is that, like, for Bernie to have made that case not that long ago, it's within his lifetime, and then to see a complete reversal of the results of the policy, remember, we're talking about the results, is something that nobody would ever bring up unless unless you come to us, unless you come to the Don't Unfriend Me show, and we dig up these types of things to show people the hypocrisy that exists on the left. How much hypocrisy exists on the right? How much hypocrisy can exist on the right if you're seen as and treated as an individual with rights? Is there any hypocrisy there versus the left, where eventually you have to give up your rights in order to sustain in society? You have to give up some level of your money. You're going to be taxed all to hell, right? And if everyone gets the same quality of health care, that means that ultimately the quality of that health care is very low. That also means that you're dependent upon everyone else for food, for energy. That also means that you don't necessarily have the freedom to express yourself. But nobody ever looks at those parts of socialism. But can that hypocrisy exist on the right? No, it can't, because you have all of those things.
Yeah.
You have the right to express yourself. You have the right to make your life better. But God, I cannot stand Bernie. He is such a lying.
He's a little bit of weasel. Chaos Girl said, question, when ever in history have all people been equal? That's easy. The Garden of Eden. We had paradise. Yeah, and a woman threw it away. So thanks a lot. Just kidding. It's just a little bit of fun. Here is, so you got Bernie.
There's a famous philosopher that our Constitution was partially influenced by, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who said that equality may have been sustained had the talents of individuals been equal. Okay. And what he was basically saying is, because everyone has different talents, nobody can be seen as, now you can be seen as equal in front of the law, but not in ability.
Equal expectations do not equal outcome.
Right.
That's it. That's it. It's causation. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah.
Equal outcome is an expectation. It's just like equity. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as equality, because everybody is different. Exactly. We truly are snowflakes. And there's no better video to show you that I don't have right now, and I wish I could show it to you. But there's a great video that talks about talents, and everybody's born with a different talent. Everyone has different skill sets. Yeah. And if you haven't seen this video, this is from the Duardio and A School, but it talks about efficacy, self-efficacy. And there's a video called Touching the Snake. And it is a fantastic video that talks about people and creativity and how it's stymied at a very early age. And we put people in boxes. Oh, you're an artist because you can draw well. That means you can't draw well, so you need to go do something else. You need to go play sports. Well, you can play sports, but you can't because you can't run very fast. And what we did is we created varying degrees of personal boundaries of their potential. And people put themselves in these boxes, and they will say often, oh, I can't play golf, I'm not very good, or I can't play guitar because I'm not very good. Well, the thing is that the whole point is you can play guitar, and the degree of your efficacy in that instrument is really not a matter of who gives a shit. It's not important. What important is that to a person who cannot play at all, you actually sound very, very good. So when you are comparing yourself to the competition and you're saying, oh, well, I need to be the next Joe Rogan, or I need to go ahead and be this, or I need to be this, what you're doing is you're stymieing and you're putting those boundaries and boxes around yourself for your creativity. Yeah. And this is the adage that we do all the time. Comparison is the destroyer of creativity and innovation.
Thief of joy. Yep.
Yeah. Thief of joy is another way to say it. There's Hallmark, for all of those. But that's my point, is we have to learn to take ourselves out of the boxes. I don't listen to that shit. Someone says, oh, well, I'm not artistic. I'm like, what do you mean you're not artistic? You are artistic. You're not a great artist, but that doesn't mean you're not artistic.
Right.
My son does that all the time. I'm not a strong public speaker. I'm not good at it. And I said, well, of course you're not good at it. You don't practice at it. You're not good at throwing a football, 70 yards either. But if you practice at it, you could reach that. Here is James Tallarico getting cooked in Texas. Texas is going to repudiate him like a case of herpes. Watch this.
So you stay here, you answer our questions, or you suffer the consequences.
So I'm happy to engage. We'll come to here in just a second. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you traveling in, and I appreciate you.
I did it for my people, not for you.
Wonderful, and I think that's wonderful. And it's all right. This is what this conversation is supposed to be about. Yeah.
So one-on-one.
Listen, people in Texas are built different, dipshit. And you're going to go tell a black woman in Texas that it's okay and it's all right. First of all, declarative statements about something that you don't possess or control is wish-washy and just complete stupidness. You have no authority over her. She owns you in this case. You are a politician vying for her vote. The fuck you have the permission to say, oh, it's okay, it's all right, she can do this. You don't hold the tempo and the temperance in that room. That's up to her, and that's up to your constituents. I am so sick of these politicians feeling that they are vassals for our livelihood, our personas, and our beliefs. You're not a vassal. You are a representative because we literally can't bring 732,000 people in our district to Washington, D.C. So we send you, fucktard. Stop having an opinion and start doing what we tell you to. Because that is what your charge is. Your job is to represent the best interests of your district and your state, your municipality, or your township, your mayoral position or your gubernatorial position. That is your job, or Senate position or congressional position. You are there to represent the people of those areas. And they're not. You're representing your own pocketbook, and you make these decisions that are based upon polling numbers, but doesn't necessarily depict what's the best thing for the state. So Tallarico is up there just promising heaven and earth in Texas, and these people are not going to listen to his shit. It's the same thing they did to Beto O'Rourke. They will repudiate him. They will regurgitate and spit him out, because in the end, it just tastes bad, and Texans don't put up with that crap.
Well, I mean, it's hard to make the case that somebody could give, all of the Texans this level of whatever it is that he's trying to sell without somebody at some point going, well, the only way for you to offer that service, the only way for you to lower the price, if it's by way of, a price reduction of a medication or whatever the case is to take from taxpayers. And taxpayers are kind of done with this, right?
Yeah.
It was a couple weeks ago, right during the 4th of July, I had made a post that said, socialists, when we had the Declaration of Independence, right? One of the founding cornerstones to this country was we're separating because of taxes, high taxes from England, right? And I felt it a little like I wondered if socialists, I wondered if communists, or if anybody far left leaning could celebrate that day, knowing that we had we started a new country based on a 3% tax, and get the idea going. Wait a minute. The only way for us to create this program, the only way for people like Tallarico to sell this program is to start another government agency, to inflate the taxes, is to pass something else. And then when that fails, then they just blame the Republicans. Well, they blocked it. We couldn't raise taxes to 90% like our constituents wants. Who wants to be taxed at that rate?
Right. Well, now they're falling back on, if you take a look at the 50s and 60s when time was prosperous, we taxed at 91%. First of all, there's no fucking corporation nobody paid that. No, but there were so many fucking tax loopholes. Second, this was postmodernistic world war. Okay, there was no competition. Europe was in shambles. China was fucking broke. Japan was broke. Everybody was broke. There was no global competition. It was the United States or else, and this helped us dominate in textiles, also in exports, and surprisingly enough, gave us buying power for imports at absolutely ridiculous prices. Manufacturing, oil production, energy, it was all owned by the United States. You could literally have any economic plan you wanted postmodernistic from World War II. And be successful. Some of the greatest times. But what's interesting, you stupid sons of bitches, is explain to me this. Why during Ronald Reagan's terms and Bill Clinton's term, when the baby boomers were at the height of productivity, when they were at the best working age for that group, when literally 70% of the baby boomers were able to work, why was it not one of the most prosperous times in U.S. history? I'll tell you why. Because we could have balanced the budget like a seal could balance a ball on his nose. We were spending. We were a deficit spending country, and we were not balancing the budget for the first time in history. We were passing billions of dollars in budget. It started with Carter. It went to Nixon. It went to Reagan, who also spent more than any president up to his time. And then the only person to actually have a surplus was Bill Clinton, because he literally neutered $600 billion out of the fucking defense contracts, gutted our military, closed bases, stopped building ships, and put us vulnerable for 9/11, killed our intel community. So Bush was handed a boondoggle of having to spend almost $1 trillion to build up our military, which made him an expensive president. This is the problem, folks. Yes, if you look at the lines of history, when Democrats are presidents, the economy is better. And the reason why is they line item and veto and cut spending on things that are necessary, like defense. And then we get into a shit sandwich situation, and we literally have the current freaking administration, Republican or Democrats, who pass on these spending bills that we're obligated to go ahead and fulfill, along with a booming national defense budget where we have to spend triplicate. This is what happened to Reagan. This is what happened to Bush. They tried to do it to Trump in 2016. This is what they always do. Right or wrong?
No, you're right. And I find it really ironic that Democrats love to point to Donald Trump's administration right now to show him, to say, look how much he is spending. Look at the how much more he has raised the deficit, without the recognition, without the understanding that had Harris gotten in, that spending would have been 3 times worse. If you
without the revenue growth, without the GDP revenue growth.
Right.
And without the inflation.
I find that to be hilariously ironic, that they would point to a Republican administration. Granted, it's spending more, right?
Of course.
Nothing like Biden, but that they would point to that and say, look, he's spending and is putting us more in debt. What did you think was going to happen under the Harris administration? Did you think that somehow she told everyone that she had to raise everyone's taxes?
Oh my God!
She told everyone that they were going to implement all of these new government programs. What did you think was going to happen with government spending under her? Come on.
Inflation is compounded interest, folks. If you have a full 1.5, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, there's always inflation. But you have to understand is that Biden was running inflation 7, 8, 9, 10% at some points, and it compounds. Right. For 2 years straight, it was almost a 26% increase year over year on pricing. We told you this was going to have generational impact. Prices on food and commodities don't come back down. That's not the way it happens. You can stimulate the market and create the market for lowering prices, but that doesn't stop it. If you have the same supply and the same demand, prices do not go down, they go up. If you have an overabundance of supply and less demand, prices go down by contrition. If you have all demand and no product, prices go through the frickin' roof. And that's what causes inflation.
Yeah.
The issue is that Biden literally on 2 years of the highest inflation we have seen ever in U.S. history. And that's why prices are not going down. They're stagnant. And the fact that Trump did that and has kept inflation relatively low, and the only thing that increased energy prices was the Straits of Hormuz and Iran, is a pretty impressive thing. The one thing you can't say about Donald Trump, he ran the best 3 years of government as far as our economy that we've seen in almost 100 years. You can sit here and say that, but you can look at unemployment. You can look at GDP growth. You can look at national defense. You can look at trade deals. You can look at getting rid of NAFTA, USMCA. You can look at the caliphate. You can look at ISIS. You can look at getting out of Afghanistan. You can go just lay it down. Mm-hmm. And they still argue with this man.
You remember when Obama had made that speech that
yes.
he was making about Trump, basically saying, well, Trump says he's going to bring unemployment down and bring all these companies
Can't
back.
bring jobs back.
How's he going to do that? You know, and it was just
deregulate, fucker.
Right. It was the most obnoxious statement where he was just like, how does he think he's going to do that? And here he is actually doing quite a bit of that. And nobody ever references that video. Nobody ever wants to hold account. Well, I mean, we do, but nobody ever wants to hold those types of comments to account to say, well, when you said this, What do you think now? You know?
Do you remember when Mitt Romney said Russia was going to be one of the biggest threats to the United States as far as economic trade and geopolitical politics? And he said the 1980s called and they want their foreign policy back. How stupid do you feel now?
Yeah,
because
that's somebody who doesn't understand economics.
Yeah, well, he doesn't understand Russia. Just because Russia doesn't have a military that's capable of doing what they say it's doing doesn't mean that they can't interrupt free trade and can't literally throw a wrench in the global economy, because they do. Here is the last video for tonight. This is going to take us to the 21:30 hour. Bill Maher on Western civilization. Listen, I have defended Bill Maher for years. 6.5 years. I've been a fan since I was a little boy. I used to watch not little, but 13 years old, watch Politically Incorrect. And I used to watch Dateline and Crossfire. I grew up on politics. I loved it. I watched all the Ollie North hearings. Bill Maher has always been a staple, but he is cooking with a certain type of gas, and he's doing it right. Here is our conversation going into the Crusades.
I want to first of all say something about Western civilization. Kids, you don't know what the fuck it is. And really, they think Western means white and white means bad. Kids, first of all, everything bad that white people did, people of color did it too. The Japanese before World War II and during World War II and Genghis Khan, and I could go on and on. The left is very down on America, very down on the West. And it's ironic because the West has also given us everything that makes your life good here. Don't ask Billie Eilish or Chappell Roan about what the Western values are, because they'll just say it's about oppression. Right. But it's not about oppression. It's about rule of law. It's about respect for minorities. It's about democracy. It's about scientific inquiry. These are all good things that came from the Western world. I wish the schools would teach that again.
Look at Tallarico. Fuck. He's like, fuck you, Bill Maher. If it wasn't for the votes, I would completely disagree with you. But here is a perfect example of the difference between my generation and this younger generation. We talked about it last night with the millennials. This is a perfect example. Blue collar work isn't what you think it is, because none of you have ever done it. None of you have done blue collar work. All you millennials who think Starbucks is blue collar work, you are a retard. You sit in an air conditioning environment, get paid an exuberant amount of money, have unbelievable benefits, and you just stand on your feet. Retail's hard work. Don't get me started, but you don't know what blue collar is. Here's a perfect video for this.
I hate a that complains about their job around me. Try blue collar. Try 8-hour shifts scooping 55 different flavors of ice cream every day until your arms fall off. You don't know real work until you've been scooping ice cream all day, tears running down your face into the ice cream, and you go like this, have a good weekend.
Yeah, I do remember that one summer that I was roofing in the 100-degree weather in the middle of July with 100% humidity, and I thought to myself, at least I am not scooping ice cream.
It's so good. So somebody just said, Tim Pool is stealing your story. Heard him say some of this on his show just recently. Listen, I'm not in competition with Tim Pool. I've seen his numbers on Facebook. He's got a great Rumble audience. I'm sure Tim does very, very well. Tim knows I exist. I know he knows. He can't possibly know, because when he looks at his Facebook profile, he sees me there, because a lot of the times I beat him each week. He's not going to have me on his show. He doesn't want people like me on his show, because I won't let him monopolize the conversation. I will build a relationship with him, but if he comes on my show, I'm going to talk to him. I don't want to debate with him, and I'm not going to sit there and listen to him to pontificate and blow hard. I don't want to hear his opinions, because I can just watch his show. I want to have a conversation with him. He doesn't want to do that. He wants clicks. He wants to control the narrative. That's his thing. So if he decides to have a similar opinion to me, good for him. If he's taking my show verbatim, well, once again, good for him. I appreciate you guys doing that. But trust me, if I had a nickel for every single time I recognized things that I wrote or things that I went ahead and produced, I'd have a shitload of nickels. So that's it. Do that, and then I want to get to Mel. Yeah. She called. Yeah. So make your comment, and then I want to get into the Crusades. Go ahead.
one of my favorite movies that I'd seen recently was this F1 movie, and it was
any good?
Oh, it was fantastic. And this mechanic who was on this team they were in dead last at one point, and all these other guys were basically Ford and Ferrari and all these other Indy teams were kind of poking fun at the guy, and they were like, "What do you think about this other team?" And the Ford guy was like, "We don't." And that's kind of how I tend to think about this. I am not in competition with Nick Freitas. I am not in competition with Tim Pool. I am just me, right? I'm going to come on here. I'm going to do what I like to do, right? If it draws an audience, great.
Yep.
And if not, I'm not going to go looking around trying to figure out where I can steal a set design or where I can steal a show formula. I'm not going to do that because I'm not.
No.
That's not what I do.
No, this show. Listen, this show is either going to take off because it's original. It's not what people are doing right now. It's a little bit different than every other show. We build relationships with people. We try to bring you interesting people to talk to. We give you perspective that's based. It's not really left or right. It's not paid for. This is either going to take off because someone's going to see it and go, "Holy shit, this is what I've been looking for," or it won't. But here's the thing. If we collect $300 every single night and have the vendors that we have right now and still do the sales, we will, and Leroy gets his show and it's also can sustain, we don't need anything else. That's enough to take us to retirement and we'll be good because we've made good decisions in our life. If we go above, and that's the thing we've always said for the last 6 years, as long as we're continuing to grow, and we are growing. And our influence is expanding, and people know our names now, and people are starting to I mean, we've got a company that helps us and are sponsoring us. This is massive, and we are being sought out. People like Damani are talking about us. Barry's talking about us.
I love him.
There's so many people. Ryan Weaver's talking about us. We've got Tonto talking about us. We've got Chad Prather talking about us. Ty Fish talking about us. We have Cynthia coming, who wrote the book on Charlie Kirk, but also wrote that God ultimately is over watching the United States of America. They're coming on the show. We've got a lot of relationships that we're building. Don't forget some of the politicians we've had on here. We have a congressman who's running for Congress. He's coming on here. Don't forget what we did up in Front Royal. We've got a lot of things going on, so hang in there, keep going. I'm gonna bring you on. We were in the middle of a conversation there, Mel. I apologize. I'm calling you back right now.
Don't forget T.S. Dixon.
Oh, dude, there's so many. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We've got a lot of people who are influencing. Hey, Mel. Sorry, I was in the middle of something I didn't want to break. Go ahead. What's up?
No, that's fine.
Go for it.
How you doing?
Yeah,
Mel?
I just wanted to wish Leroy a speedy recovery, and I just wanted to know, Leroy, are you going to have a Department of Dignity?
Like a retirement ceremony?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Friends
You mean
and
from the
family
Navy?
and whatever
Yes.
can come
No.
and
No, I'm doing on.
toast you and pay respects. Yeah.
I am doing an Irish exit, Mel. I am. I put this in, and I'm going to have a very small little ceremony with my chief friends and some people with the command. It is not going to be a very big deal. This is going to be a very small thing. I'm likely going to do it in the building where we work, which means that I have to go and get a bunch of people some white badges, and not very big at all. I did not want that. I didn't want the ceremony where they ding the bell and request permission to go ashore. I didn't want to do that.
So gay.
I know. That's why I didn't want to do it.
I know. It's good stuff. Mel, how are you doing?
No, I'm doing good.
Okay. Did you have more questions for Leroy?
No, I'm doing good, and I understand Leroy. I understand Leroy's sentiment for a retirement. Yeah, because that's what most of us want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, just keep it small, keep it simple. Yeah.
Thank you, Mel.
We love you, Mel. We'll talk to you, kiddo.
Love you, kiddo.
Yeah, no.
Good. We got a little bit of storm
No.
delay, I'm thinking, Mel. Or Canada's.
One
Go ahead.
other question is there going to be a lotto for the divulging of Yeah.
No. Say it again. If there's going to be a lotto for what?
For the divulging of Leroy's real name?
Oh.
That jury's still out on that. I don't know how quickly that's going to take place. Because he's still going to hold his clearance for a few, and I might veto that. He's going to have. I don't know.
Contract. That's the thing.
Even without the contract, your clearance is going to be good for a while. I'm probably not going to allow his last name to be released.
Did she say something?
She's delayed because of the storm.
Yeah, no, I know the comment's going to come up after he's out. Do we finally get to know who Leroy is? Some of us do, but
Yeah.
Some of us do, but
yeah. Some of you do, some of you don't. But in the end,
If you see me on the back of a milk carton, worry. Until then, I'm good.
Yeah. All right, Mel. I got to get to this. I want to really get to this. I got 5 minutes to do a 20-minute segment, and I love you, and I got to let you go.
Mel,
love you both.
love you.
Get better, Leroy.
Thank you, Mel.
Oh, love Mel. She's amazing.
What a sweetheart.
Yeah, she is. Here is the Crusades. Like I said, I've done a lot of research on this. This is a big topic for me. If people think that they can understand the Middle East in its entirety, I will tell you, you would have a better chance of becoming an abbot for every single religion on the planet. It's not going to happen. The Middle East history is segmented and broken down by certain time periods for a reason, because it is so encompassing and so significantly large. Pardon me. Protein shake, working out. But this took 9.5 hours of work. Watch this video, and then we'll get back to some of the comments.
So you're saying that it's possible that the Crusades were a reaction to the Islamic Crusades?
Yes, it was it was a much needed, and as I told you, Bernard Lewis famously called it belated response to nonstop aggression from Muslims. And if you look again at the sources, at what Pope Urban is the one who called for it, that's what he talks about. He says, your brothers in the East are being butchered, the women are being raped, the men are being sodomized. It's really graphic. They used to, the Muslims and the Turks would enter churches and cut open, and pull the entrails and tie them to a pole and whip someone until he would run around it and he would die. Like, the most horrific things you can imagine they were doing. That's what provoked the First Crusade. But see, again, it's presented in a vacuum intentionally. So you think, oh, look at these aggressor Europeans. Even the colonial era was seen as a response. Remember, we were talking about the Barbary pirates and Thomas Jefferson, they were enslaving American. They were, of course, enslaving Europeans even more, because that's who's right there, the Mediterranean Europeans.
1.25 million of them.
So when France invaded Algiers, it was in response to this naval holy war that they were waging, this jihad of enslaving Europeans. So even the colonial era, which is so horrible, the way it's presented, was a response to the violent aggression. But we're never told that part. We're just, again, it's presented in a vacuum intentionally.
So 1096 to 1099, the First Crusades took place. That's a lot of time before that. 1096 to 1099, a 3-year period of time. So let's just go ahead and try to find out what happened, because it literally took, from that period of time, almost 400, 500 years for Christians to retaliate. 500 years for Christians to say, fuck it, I've had enough.
Right.
Had enough. Here it is. 629 was the Battle of the Mu'tah. Forces of Medina entered Byzantine-controlled Transjordan. 633 to 638, the invasion of Byzantine, Syria, and Palestine. 634, Muslim victory at Ajnadin. Damascus was captured in 635. 636, the Byzantine army defeated at Yarmouk. 637 to 638, Jerusalem surrendered. 639 to 642, Byzantine Egypt invaded and conquered. 1640s to 640s, 650s, Arab campaigns entered Christian Armenia, Georgia, and the Byzantine Anatolia. 647 to 698, Byzantine North Africa invaded. Carthage finally captured in 698. 649 was the first major invasion by the Byzantine Cyprus. 654, Arab attack on Rhodes. 674 to 678, first prolonged Arab siege of Constantinople, the Christian capital. It failed. 1717 to 1718, second major Arab siege of Constantinople, the Christian capital. Failed. The early conquest took Byzantine, Syria, Palestine, and Egypt, with most Egypt conquered between 640 and 642. Those were the early Muslim conquests. Constantinople survived major Arab sieges in 674 through 78 and 717 to 1718. How about Iberia, France, Italy, and the Mediterranean? 1711 to 1718, Umayyad forces invaded and conquered most of the Christian Visigothic kingdom in Spain and Portugal. Narbonne and Septimania in southern France invaded. Muslim army attacked Toulouse, but was defeated in 721. 725, raids reached Burgundy. 732, Muslim army advanced toward Tours and Poitiers, but were defeated. 759, Christian Franks recaptured Narbonne. 827-902, Aghlabad invasion and conquest of the Byzantine Sicily. 831, Palermo was captured. 846, I'm not done, Muslim raiders attacked Rome and looted the basilicus outside its walls. 846 to 880, Muslim forces occupied Taranto. 847 to 871, Muslim Emirate of Bari established in South Italy. 878, Syracuse was captured. 902, do you know how long this took me to do? 902, Taormina was the last major Byzantine stronghold in Sicily fell. 880 to 915, Muslim base at Gargliano, used for raids in central Italy. 904, Muslim fleet stacked the Byzantine Thessalonica. 1015 to 1016, attempted Muslim conquest of Sardinia. Cambridge history places the conquest of Sicily between 827 and 902, but with the Muslim Emirates in Taranto and Bari, the frequent attacks on that mainland of Italy, I believe it expanded actually about 7 to 8 years longer, based upon the research. Let's go to the Seljuks, the North African dynasties and Crusader states. 1064, the Seljuk force captured Ani, a major of Armenian Christian city. 1071, the Seljuks defeated Byzantine Manuscurt, opening most of Christian Anatolia to Turkish conquest and settlement. 1070s to 1080s, large areas of the Byzantine and Armenian Anatolia fell. 1086, the Almoravid armies crossed the North Africa into Iberia and defeated the Castiles. 1108, the Almoravids defeated the Castiles at Ucles. 1146, 1147, Alamad armies entered Iberia, and renewed war against the Christian kingdoms. 1187, Saladin defeated the Crusader states and captured Jerusalem yet again. 1195, Almohad's defeat of Kassel at Alacras. Almohad expanse of decisively stopped at Las Navas de Tolosa. 1268, the Mamluks captured Christian, ruled Antioch. 1291, the Mamluks captured Acre, eliminating the last major Crusader state on the mainland in North Africa. The Seljuk victory at Manuscurt in 1071 opened Anatolia to Turkish settlements and led to the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. How about the Caucasus and Nubia and Ethiopia? 651 to 652, Arab armies invaded Christian Nubia but failed to conquer it. 1225, Muslim Khwarezmian, and I butchered that one, I know. The other ones I'm doing okay. Forces captured and sacked Christian Tbilisi. 1276, 1317, the Mamluk campaign progressively subordinated Christian Nubia. 1386, 1403, Timur conducted repeated devastating invasions of Christian Armenia and Georgia. 1529 to 1543, the Muslim Adel Sultanate invaded Christian Ethiopia, destroying numerous churches, monasteries, and manuscripts. The Ethiopian campaign, led by Amat ibn Abrahim, devastated Christian Abyssinia, or Abyssinia, from 1529 to 1543. How about the Ottoman invasions of Christian Europe? Now we're in 1326 to 1337. Bursa, Nicaea, and Nicodemia was taken from Byzantium. 1354, Ottomans established themselves at Gallipoli in Europe. 1362, Adrianople captured. 1371, Ottoman victory at Maritza. 1385 to 1387, Sofia, Nice, and Thessaloniki was captured. Battle of Kosovo in 1389, 1393, Bulgarian capital Tarnovo captured. 1396, European crusading army defeated at Nicopolis. 1422, Ottoman siege of Constantinople failed. You guys might understand, you might hear Romans and Ottoman and Constantinople. You also find that this is also 1800s. You saw this with the Jews as they were expelled from Israel once again, or excommunicated from Israel. The Thessalonica captured again. Christian coalition defeated at Varna in 1444. 1453, Constantinople conquered by the Byzantine Empire ended. 1459 to 1463, Serbia, the Morea, and the Bosnian Peninsula was conquered. 1470, Venetia, Euboea was captured. 1475, Christian Genesis colonies and Principality of Theodoro in Crimea were conquered. 1480 to 1481. This is all Europe, folks. Remember, I told you this has happened numerous times that Europe has been conquered by Islam. Ottoman invasion, temporary occupation of Otranto into Italy. 1499 to 1503, Greece, Ottoman conquest of several Venetian territories in Greece. 1521, Belgrade was captured. 1522, Rhodes captured from the Knights Hospitalara. Hungary defeated at the Mohawks in 1526. First Ottoman siege of Vienna failed. 1529, new Ottoman campaign into Austria in 1532. 1537, Ottoman attack on the Corfu failed. 1565, Great Siege of Malta failed. 1570 to 1571, Venetia, Cyprus invaded and conquered. 1593 to 1606, Long Turkish War in Habsburg, Hungary. 1645 to 1669, Venetian Crete invaded and conquered, which is that little tiny island outside of Italy. 1663, 1664, Ottoman offense into Habsburg, Hungary again. 72 to 76, Ottoman invasion of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Podolia, was captured. 1683, Second Ottoman siege of Vienna failed. 1715, Ottomans reconquered the Venetian Morea. 1737 to 1739, Ottoman counteroffensive retook Belgrade and North Serbia. Major Ottoman sequence began in Gallipoli in 1354, followed by the Balkan expansion, Constantinople in 1453, and campaigns reaching Vienna in 1529 and 1683. The long-running raids were from the 700s to the 900s, almost annual Arab raids into the Byzantine Anatolia. 700s to 1000s, raids from Muslim Liberia into the northern Christian kingdoms. 1400s to 1700s, the Crimean Tarta, the slave raids into Christian Ukraine, Russia, and Poland, Lithuania. Moscow was burned in 1571. 1500s to the 1800s, Barbary raids against Italy, Spain, France, Portugal, and the Mediterranean islands, and Israel. 1551, the Gozo attacked and much of its population enslaved. 1627, Barbary raiders attacked Iceland. Barbary pirates were the first terrorists on planet Earth and now have continued the trend. 1631, Baltimore, Ireland attacked and residents enslaved. 1974, Turkey invaded the Republic of Cyprus and occupied over 1/3 of the island. This was a modern nationalist and geopolitical conflict, not properly classified as a medieval-style religious invasion, which was independently what the Crusades from Muslims was about. The essential sequence, 634 to 638, was Levant. 47 to 98 was North Africa. 711, Iberia. 827, Sicily. 1071, Anatolia. 1095, the Byzantine appeal to the west. And 1096 was the First Crusade. The Christians were being murdered by the millions before the Crusades.
Something to add to that.
Good luck.
Well, between 1500 to 1830, the Barbary Corsairs, operating from Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, and Morocco, captured and enslaved an estimated 1.25 million white European and Americans. And of course, during that time frame, that part of the world was officially tied to the Ottoman Empire. So in a way, the Ottomans basically invented some level of slavery. Now, slavery invented before that, but there wasn't necessarily word from it, which is why Thomas Sowell, in one of his books, actually makes the great point that the word slave comes from the Slavs. The Slavs were the first official, that's where we get the term slaves, and they were the first official slaves, white European country.
And running the first international slave trade. That's the distinction.
Yes.
That's why, because they controlled the waters. Here's the last thing I'll say about this. And in between all of that, 86,000 terroristic events have happened in the last 47 years from Iran. 86,000 terrorist events have happened in the world since then. And if you take a look at the funding of those 86,000 Muslim terrorist events, does anyone want to know the percentage that Iran has backed and funded them? Over 63,000 of those terrorist events has been linked to Iran. Don't fucking tell me that the United States is an oppressor, because that's not what's happening. Maddie Howenitz. Matt, a little lighter this week, getting ready to move into the house with a bigger yard. I know you don't know, but I know you know. Good to see you, Leroy. Listen, guys, that is a show. That is a fun show. I love Leroy and I when we're on. I love it when Olivia and I are on. I love it. It's amazing. But those shows cook. And if you want to share that, go ahead and do it. If you want a copy of that, ask me. I'll email it to you. It's much longer and much in depth. I think I got about 95% of the names right. I was also going super fast. But I will tell you this. That information right there, you could literally write a book that's 12 to 13 books on just the period that I mentioned in one of those things. You guys don't understand the history.
Each one of those battles is a book.
People keep asking me, Matt, what's it going to take to stop Iran? I will tell you this. The Japanese Empire was one of the most brutal and violent empires on the planet outside of the English. And it took a nuclear bomb and an American revolution against the strongest army in the world to stop it. If you think it's going to take a couple GBUs strategically placed in Iran to stop them, it's going to take something much more magnificent, because if you remember, 6.5 years ago, on July 27th, I did a little show that said Iran is the biggest threat to the sovereignty of the United States of America. And I'm telling you, I was right. If you want to stop Iran, anything short of a nuke or full invasion and taking over of that country, which is not going to happen because it can't be done, is what it's going to take to stop them. It's going to take a cataclysmic event the size of the American Revolution or a nuclear warhead to stop Iran. Otherwise, we got to start getting real fucking tough, which is you have to starve those people until they uprise with rocks and take over that country, because there's 3,600 years of history that you're not aware of. And it's no longer Persians and Christians that are in that country, running that country. They are now Muslims.
I am actually shocked at, and I don't think the United States would ever do it just because of the policy ramifications of an administration. But somebody other than America, I could very easily see hitting Karg Island and just removing their leg.
It's going to destroy the world's economy, though. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to it's going to destroy the world's economy, and then you have World War II all over again, where you have these countries that say we don't have enough energy, and then Japan does Pearl Harbor. So, I mean, what happens? What happens when China doesn't have energy anymore? They're going to invade Russia. You know they invade Russia, and then Europe. Yeah. See, that's the problem. Is China is they keep Russia around for currency trade and energy. And if Karg Island gets hit, China will invade Russia. And they will take Moscow, and then they take Europe. We got to be careful. Karg Island's dangerous.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm saying that I don't think the United States would ever even consider it, just because of the ramifications. But
No.
a country that is maybe a little looser with the rules, a little more maybe independent, energy independent, somebody who doesn't give a shit and just wants to get them out of the world's equation. I could see that. I could see a slip up happening.
You want to bring Iran to its knees? Hit the 9 provinces with Moabs. You're going to literally kill 250,000 people, but Iran will drop to its knees. But you're going to have to kill civilians to do it. You're going to have to do what the Jews did to Gaza. And I don't know. I don't think America has the stones or the international capability or will to do so. You know what I mean, bud?
Yeah.
Like this is Afghanistan. The Russia's got us sucked into Afghanistan and said we don't want Vietnam anymore. We're leaving. That was Russia's Vietnam.
Yeah, your point is there is no win in this fight. This is simply a matter of trade-offs. Either we're going to trade off, extremely high energy prices and risk global war for the chance that we could get rid of that kind of lunacy that exists within Iran, or something in between. But it's all a matter of trade-offs.
Take the Red Sea. Remove the Houthis out of the equation. Have the United States hit Hezbollah in Lebanon. Give Lebanon back to the Christians. Exfil the radical Muslims and put them with the IRGC in Syria, whatever you want. You stabilize Lebanon, and Iran's ability to run proxy against Israel stops. The only thing they can hit them with is long-range missile systems, and we can hunt and kill those things all day long, right? You take out Lebanon, you take out Hezbollah, you take out their proxy. That's what the United States needs to do. You want to cripple Iran? Neuter Lebanon. Give it back to the Christians. And then you have a completely different situation. Then you have Lebanon help you destroy Iran from long range. Then you keep the West Bank, you take the Golan Heights, you excommunicate IRGC out of Syria. It's going to take it'll take an eastern push for us to hurt Iran. It's not going to take a northern push. Yeah. The only other thing you can do is go ahead and arm the Pakistanis and the Kurds, the southern Kurds. Holy shit. You know what I mean? And can we trust them? I don't know. But you drop a Moab in the 9 provinces of Iran. Holy shit, that's gonna send them. Oh, these fuckers came to play. But you're not gonna do it internationally. You can't. Leroy, take us out of here, man. Bring us home. It's so good to have you here tonight.
I am just grateful to be able to come back. I know that I was gone for a long time while I was dealing with some health issues. I can't thank you guys enough for your support. I got the occasional, PM, and Matt and I were in constant communication where we were just like, hey, this is the update. And a lot of this was kind of impromptu. Like we were trying to figure out whether or not I would come back. I know I wanted to, but at the time we were like, man, am I ever going to be healthy enough? Because basically I had 3 things hitting me all at once. And at one point I was like, man, is this how I go? like it was bad. That being said, I am in a much better place now, and I can't thank everyone enough for their support. And there's been a lot of world events since I've been gone, lots. And it's just incredibly difficult to keep up. I will continue to try to give everyone my honest opinion of events and give you the best analysis I can, both Matt and I. But as for everyone who's watching, I can't thank the audience enough. You guys are amazing. You are what makes the Don't Unfriend Me show so great.
Yeah, 120%. Wasn't the leader of Lebanon at the White House today? There's people who are a lot better at this than Leroy and I advising the president, and I guarantee most of those people who have the ear and the pulse of geopolitical situations are telling them to wipe out Hezbollah from Lebanon. That is the key. If you want to neuter Iran, because the Houthis have no more fight in this. They don't want any more of this. The Muslim Brotherhood doesn't want any more of this. Really, it's Hezbollah. Now that Hamas is neutered, Hezbollah is carrying out Iran's attacks, and they're destabilizing northern Israel. And if you shut them down, Iran has long-range attacks. That's all they got. And you can... we need more THAAD, and we need more Patriot missile systems, and we can hold them indefinitely. And then you literally just go ahead and you make sure that you dedicate about $25 billion every year to bombing Iran every other week. That'll do it.
That's literally what it would take too.
That'll do it. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Maria El Pedro Pessoa says Europe is being invaded again. There are areas you can't even go to simply not be safe. Remember, there were some people who told you that England and Germany and France have already fallen. And we're seeing that. This isn't the first time Arabs have taken Europe, and they're going to do it again. But instead of taking it by sword and camel, they're now taking it with theology and mass immigration. Yes. Yes, Kimberly Jurgemeyer, isn't that right? It looks like Captain Dennis Jones. Arr, Captain, appreciate it. Thank you for buying our coffee. We hope you love it. If we don't, we'll walk the plank and we'll put you to the sharks. Send you down to J.V. Jones' locker. We'll do it to you. Enjoy the coffee, matey.
Man. Chief season is coming up, and I got a guy who plays that to the T.
Does he? He's like, arr!
He plays a Jack Sparrow that is perfect. He
Oh,
gets the
does he?
mannerisms down and everything.
I haven't even tried it. I don't even know.
Oh, it's
But
amazing.
Listen, you guys, we love you. Leroy, thanks for staying extra. We'll see you Thursday. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Oh, new ending to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. We did update all of the donors, all of them. Everyone's been updated. If you've donated to the Don't Unfriend Me Show, we're going to be doing it every 90 days. Take a look. If your name's not on there, read the little message in the center. And at the very, very ending of the show, we've moved the veteran crisis line in a 5-second spot right in silence, and then in the end we have another spot of silence if you want to go take a look. Just a little forward of dedicating to the people who we've lost on the show. God bless. Thanks for watching. Good night. See you, Leroy.
Guys.
Yeah, ditto, buddy.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct.
I'm sorry, Tammy. I forgot our raid. Thank you for raiding. We're going to go raid Reignited. Thank you.
Unfiltered. We can agree. We can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Kat, we got you. Kat, we got you. I love you, hun. Mad and Dummies, I ask for prayers for crazy health issues and a broken heart. Look up Shannon Miranda. We will, Kat. I'm sorry we missed this, Kat. I hope you're still listening to us. God bless and we love you. Call me if you need me. You know the number. You know the email. Good night, everybody.